What's up, YouTube? This is Red Devilosa from Red Devilosa Reviews. I am here today with a very special guest from a Discord far, far away. I have mentioned him a few times in my video, Unity, or otherwise known as Unity Reviews and Analysis. What's up, Unity?
Hello. Yeah, the Batman today. Yes,
Yeah,
we're talking like that.
yeah. As he said, we are going to talk about the Batman. Try our best to do a full breakdown of the film. It came out on March 4th, and this video is planned to be released on the day it goes on HBO Max, which is said to be April 18th. So keep that in mind. Uh, I wanted to do this review a bit earlier, but due to scheduling conflicts in college and all, it didn't really plan out that way. But hopefully we can do the film justice at this point in time. A lot of my subscribers are here because of my fan cast for the Batman franchise, and I appreciate all of you that have done that in the past. So, I guess what we'll do is we'll try to break down the film. I guess like we can go from the start, unless we want to give like a quick blurb of what we thought in terms of the overall consensus as a non-spoiler kind of thing. Unity, if you have a way to say that.
I mean, in terms of characters, I would say the film excels in characters with like a few exceptions, just few moments, just like that could be done better.
Yeah,
The plot though, yep, the plot is just like that needs a lot of work. Just like there are several moments, just like it doesn't work. You need to connect it better. It's
yeah,
not completely unfixable.
yeah. We will talk about these particular problems. A lot of my consensus of the problems, like a lot of them are pretty easy to fix. Like I don't think like there's anything ridiculous in terms of like, okay, there's no way we can fix that, except for like one particular moment involving the Riddler, which we will get to in a bit. Um, but yeah, in terms of like aspects of like the Batman mythos or like the characters in the city, uh, Gotham City itself, I really think that the film does a really good job in capturing a lot of the stuff that makes Batman great as a character. Um, so as we all know, the film stars Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, also known as Batman. It also stars Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Andy Serkis as Alfred,
Alfred,
Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, and Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Also,
Penguin.
John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. Yeah,
Yeah, those are main players.
yeah, and then also, yeah, the film was directed by Matt Reeves,
Written by
which
him.
and written by him as well. Something I found pretty interesting is like this production overall. Before we start talking about the film itself, I found it interesting that like it he like Warner Brothers gave him 5 years to work on this. Basically, like he was still busy with the last Planet of the Apes films at the time, but like they had pretty good faith in him and his direction of what he wanted. Obviously, like there was this whole thing with Ben Affleck's Batman and how he just didn't
Yeah.
really have a connection with the story that Ben wanted to write, which kind of set the stone into where the Batman is now with Robert Pattinson. So I found that pretty interesting how WB gave a lot of faith into this one guy for Batman film. So that is something that you do notice when you watch the movie. At least that in my experience, that's kind of what I got out of it. Um, yeah. So with that, we can talk about um, we could talk about the plot. Uh, and
Okay.
we'll try our best to talk about as much as we can. Um, just bear with us if we don't mention it now. We could mention it later, but if we don't mention it, please let us know in the comments down below. All right, so basically, just to give a little recap, this the start of the film is around Halloween. Um, the Riddler is basically on a quest of vengeance on the corruption in Gotham City. The first victim in the film is a mayor candidate who is unfortunately killed at the beginning of the film with regards to uh, how
Riddler.
Riddler sneaks up behind him in the scene and he hits him in the head with a, I guess they call it a carpet tucker, is what they said, or something like that. So yeah, what do we think about the intro for the Riddler?
I mean, it's kind of scary and sets the stage of what the Riddler is. I mean, you know, you understand that he's what he wants, and you just put some mystery for the cops to find, and you know that he's sneaky and doesn't use and doesn't is not a physical fighter, and as he requires some specific timing to in order to attack the enemy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that I think like the intro for Riddler is pretty good in terms of like, well, one, it establishes like a big difference between him and like Jim Carrey's Riddler, where this one is a lot more of a serial killer, in terms of what he decides to do. And we do get more from the Riddler later in the film, but I think it was a very solid opening in terms of like establishing that this guy is he is calculated to a degree. We do see him like scouting the place, and we saw him like see through the glass ceiling of where he could enter into the house without being seen. So we do get that aspect, and then I guess like in terms of something we could ask is like, you know, did the mayor really not feel the presence of him behind him? Uh, that's I guess that's something we could ask in terms of like a
Yeah.
question in terms of the scene. Yeah,
And also, when you got to the end, just like the Riddler is stated himself that he is not a physical fighter, so just like yeah, that could actually break the plot if the mayor actually found him, as he won't be physically fighting him
yeah,
enough.
yeah. The sneak attack definitely gave him the advantage the of the mayor. I mean, I'm not sure if he would still be able to kill the mayor. I mean, I'm not sure what the mayor is able to do if he did see him. But yeah, it is something to consider that he didn't get caught by the mayor before doing his attack. Um, yeah, and I really like the opening monologue with I mean, I guess my question for you, how did you feel about like the narration by Batman? Like I've noticed like mixed opinions on that.
I mean, I don't really remember much, but it's like it's kind of creepy feeling of establish the Gotham City and what is it like about it. I mean, I don't personally read comics, so I really don't have much knowledge about how it works in Gotham. But just like it's not the same as I just saw the Dark Knight or the Tim Burton Batman feeling. It's just more corrupted, more broken. And you can get the sense of feeling that there's criminal everywhere, just like this. It's more like the Joker, the film one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, something that I particularly liked about the narration is like it gives like, well, one, it's obviously giving, he's writing it in a diary, so like that's kind of like why he's kind of talking that way. When he gives descriptions about what he's feeling and how he's like connected to this part of Gotham and how he's trying to make a change for Gotham as Batman. Like people see the signal in the sky, they're afraid of like any little shadow that's there because they think Batman was in that shadow. Yeah, and it's something that was pretty neat is in the one of the guys at the beginning of the movie, he was wearing an orange jacket. Um, he he looks like the Robert Pattinson character in Good Time. So that was a neat little Easter egg. And another neat one is that in the convenience store that he goes into to rob, it's called Good Times Convenience or something like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Also, you also have Batman's introductory fight scene as well. With the with I guess like it could be the Joker gang. We're not too sure on
Yeah.
who they are. They all had face paint in the beginning of the movie. Um, do you have any comments on the fight itself?
I mean, it looks cool. I mean, there's like a part in the beginning, just like, who are you? Just like, wait, you didn't notice this guy is Batman, even though there's a big signal in the sky. It's like, yeah, that's kind of flimsy. But besides that, fight itself is pretty good when it comes to combat. They didn't pull guns in the beginning, which is sure. They didn't. I mean, I don't even get the logic if they don't know this guy is Batman. But yeah, sure. Don't pull their guns at if the
Yeah,
beginning, and they just focus on physical fighting until it elevates and you just shoot for Pattinson, just and it bounces him. It's a good escalation for the fights.
yeah,
And yeah, yeah, the cinematography it's well shot, and I can clearly see what is happening in motion. Also, yeah, the armor is like bulletproof, so it just toned down damages.
yeah,
It's another
yeah.
advantage for the Batman.
That's true. I mean, something that I'm not too big of like a action guy unless it's like egregiously terrible. But in terms of like I would imagine that like if you were circling one person, I don't know if it's a great idea to really shoot because you could hit someone behind him if you had a bad aim. I mean, that's I guess like that's kind of my logic in thinking about it. But like in terms of the actual scene, um, yeah, as you mentioned, I can actually see what's happening in the fight. Um, is like Nolan, one of his big weaknesses. I think we both agree on this is his choreography. Um, There's too
Yeah,
many cuts, too many well one a lot of
a lot,
elbow hits as well for Batman.
and doesn't
So
have a lot. It doesn't have a lot of weight behind his punches.
yeah, so that's something that I think that's something that the Batman just easily did better. We will have like these random moments of comparisons with the Dark Knight just to keep that in mind for the viewer. Um, Obviously because like there's been a lot of comparisons between the two films, but we will have the discussion as we keep going. Something else that Well, another thing that was interesting is that the one of the kids there is the actor who plays Tim Drake in Titans. Um, he was kind of like the main scared kid in that Joker game. I mean, I don't really have an opinion on him. I don't like him as Tim Drake in that show, but that's a different conversation. Um,
Yeah, I'd never seen Titans. That's so yeah, I didn't get the reference.
yeah, good, good. Yeah, that is something else that we kind of established as well in the beginning of the film. Like he was saving an Asian guy, from them, but he was like scared of Batman because like he wasn't sure if he was gonna attack him next. So it kind of sets in the motion that he is uh he is a symbol of vengeance, but like he's not really getting the people of Gotham to be on his side at this particular moment in time. So that is something that translates as we go along into the film. So that was kind of like a way to get that perspective. You have criminals afraid of him, but you also have the regular everyday citizen of Gotham afraid of him as well. So that's something neat. Oh, and also something else to mention is that this is the second year of Batman, so it's not exactly his first time being Batman. He had a little bit of exposure as the vigilante, so that's just something else to keep in mind. Yeah. Um, so next up is when he sees the bat signal. He goes to the mayor's house. He, or I guess, yeah, that's where he meets up with Gordon. So that also kind of gives us another point in time that the him and Gordon are good with each other, but he's not good with everybody else in the GPD. So, would you
One,
like to talk
yeah,
about the
one.
apartment scene or
I mean,
the penthouse scene? I guess.
it's kind of weird. I mean, yeah. How did they establish that the fact that they only Gordon is good with him? It's just there's a cop like standing right next to him, right in front of him when he's going to get inside to just stop him going in. And Gordon just like, yeah, he's coming with us. So yeah, that's a good establishment that only Gordon trusts him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when they got inside, just like the Riddler just like left a card or something for the Batman to play with. It's like, what's the card name again? What's the card? What did the card wrote? Something like,
It's like
it's a,
it gives like a well, it's kind of like a clue. Where what does a liar do when he's dead?
oh,
And then
yeah.
it gives like he lies still, which is also in a cipher key. So it gives like some well, it gives Batman like some kind of code to try and crack. In terms of so like yeah, he'll have like letters like HEST and I and L. So like you would use that as like a key in terms of trying to find out what the Riddler wants. So it leads to a lot of like subsequent riddles that happens later into the film. Um, so you have that. You also have Batman
Yeah,
mention that um he
the
yeah
yeah, the thumb thing. Yeah,
right
he
right.
noticed the fact that
There's
yeah,
something before that though. Before we get there, it's like he mentioned that like a lot of his as he spends a lot of nights out, he it kind of affects his memory in terms of what happened during the day. So that's why he uses the context that that allows him to rewind what he saw in the day. And so like if he saw like a so that's kind of why he was walking very slowly throughout the crime scene so that he can so his contact could like record what was happening in the area, allow him to see the room better, and allow him to remember like the codes of the riddles and all that. So I guess in terms of world building technology, like how do you feel about that kind of thing that Batman has?
I mean, I think that makes sense for his character to just record everything in order to go back to investigate. Matt Reeves wants the Batman to be a detective more than an action hero. Yeah, I think that's a good technology for him to just go back and rewind it, just in case there's like devils in details that he misses. And also in case they I mean, of course, the police will just gonna take the evidence away from him, so he can't just do it again. And the recording device can let him just take a picture of it and see it again, just in case he forgot something else inside those words and puzzles.
Yeah, yeah. Um so yeah, we do get some like some a lot of history in just these few minutes of the film. We get a sense of what Riddler is doing, why he's attacked, why he killed the mayor essentially. We also get Batman. We get a little bit of Batman fighting, but then we also get that he doesn't feel like he's making the difference that he wants for Gotham, but he's still trying to make that, trying to fix that. So we have that, and we also have that the criminals are afraid of just seeing the symbol of Batman because they know what he's into. But we also know that the citizens of Gotham are also not very clear on how they should feel about Batman. And then we also know that Gordon and Batman is like good with each other, but not everybody in the GCPD is good with Batman yet. Which another thing is you see the commissioner, the previous commissioner was there as well. Uh, he drops your happy fucking Halloween uh, as well. Uh, he's not good with Batman as well, which he will eventually die later into the film as they learn that he also was corrupt as well in Gotham City. So we learned a lot of things about the world. Even though we're in year two, we still have like a good understanding of a few things at the in the opening minutes of the story. So that's what I thought was really neat. It didn't take too long to talk about these things, and a lot of it is like they didn't have to tell us like every single detail of what's happening. So that's just something that I found about the intro. Anything you like? Pros cons.
It's I mean, oh yeah, there's a scene of the bat of like Bruce Wayne just saw a kid losing his father, and he has a reaction of how he feels about it.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember. Yep.
and
That's,
they didn't have to show us his parents getting shot again. So I appreciated that. And then also like there's also that uh distinction with Alfred. And I mean, I guess like if I were something that I would say is a negative for me overall is like I wish there was more Alfred. Um I thought Andy Serkis was an interesting choice for Alfred because I'm so used to him playing villains. But but yeah, I really liked him in the role. But I think something that that was noted before, and maybe you can comment on this. Like a lot of I'm not Gordon, Alfred and Bruce, they don't they don't really see eye to eye, like completely. Like they had the "You're not my father," Alfred, and I'm well aware. There is like a bit of a back and forth between these two, which I wish there was a little bit more for this before the letter
payoff.
bomb happened to
Yeah,
Alfred. That's just something that I think would have benefited a bit better if there was a little more time there.
more
Um,
development beforehand.
yeah, yeah, that's like I guess that's something that I would say was not really fleshed upon too well in terms of like the backstory of Alfred, or like not like backstory like his history, like more like where this disdain for Alfred is coming from. If that makes sense. Because yeah, obviously
That's an
like
issue.
yeah, because like obviously there's the whole like you're using the Wayne legacy to fight crime, uh, and you might get killed in the process if you were to continue going down this route. Um, which Batman says himself like he doesn't care about what happens to him. Not afraid of death. He's not afraid of like losing his his himself in this crusade that he's going on. So there is elements there. I just feel like there it would have benefited if there was a little more in terms of uh, going more head to head on the ideologies clashing, because I think that would have benefited.
Yeah, that's like the Nolan trilogy. Like they developed the Bruce and Alfred relationship pretty well in the first two films. Like they have a lot more time to interact and a lot more time to share the ideology with each other. Yeah, which is like something I would say that the Dark Knight and Batman Begins did better.
Yeah, yeah, and like I think my other thing is like I just like I think like I guess for me with this Alfred, my my connections is mainly because of comics Alfred, I guess, or like seeing Alfred for many years in many mediums. So it's like I just like care about Alfred because it's Alfred. Um, but like if I guess if I had to take a step back and look at it more objectively, I don't think Alfred had enough for someone that is like probably new to the material, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So there is
that's
like
yeah.
there is a bit of like
I mean,
if you know the character, you might like really care. I'm just trying to see it through a different point of view, if that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
if yeah, I mean, I'm not a comic book reader, and when I really think about the film again after I get out, Alfred is not even like the first element I thought about it. Actually, he's like one of the least memorable character in the film. When I actually analyze it again, even though he has like a big payoff, he got bombed, which yeah, and then he told Bruce about something about his parents.
Yeah,
That's an element I realized.
yeah, and we can get a little bit more into that as we keep going. Um, let's see. You they did decipher the message that goes to the like one of the mayor's like cars, uh his garage, and they found the thumb drive, which
Yeah.
funnily has the mayor's thumb on a flash drive. So that was kind of funny. I noticed there was a lot of like comments on like the movie isn't funny, which I think is a lot of this comes
Yeah.
down to MCU syndrome, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was, I guess, like to quickly talk about that. There were some funny moments in the film. Like a lot of it comes down to Batman's dry sense of humor, because like you know, like when him and Gordon were talking about the punch that he did, and then Gordon says you should have pulled your punch. Batman says I did. Um, or like when he just comments that Selena has a lot of cats. My theater was laughing at that because it's not hilarious funny. It's just like it's neat, um,
Yeah.
in that regard. So I just found that pretty interesting. Um, oh yeah, and then something that I liked was when he was talking to the twins, and then one of the guys says like, "There's gonna be blood on that suit. Mine or yours." So that was
Yeah. And then Batman get inside and have a fight scene,
yeah.
which
I think before we get there, I think the scene that sets it up is like Riddler on the flash drive. It has a bunch of photos of the mayor with another woman, which is in front of the Iceberg Lounge. So that gets Batman to go to the Iceberg Lounge to talk to Penguin, which leads to that fight scene. Which what would you like to mention?
yeah, like that's the first time it's just like yeah, that's some major issue in the fight scene. It's the guards just try to shoot in a nightclub, just like wait, why would you do that if you actually shoot an innocent person?
Yeah,
And
so the way I
it's not
saw
even a
it is
straight bullet.
like so the way I saw it
It's not
is
even
like Batman was on the scaffolding, the stairs in that area. So when he got shot, it wasn't in an area anywhere near the people. So I mean, there is obviously the risk of like you know hitting
getting
somebody,
shot.
but the place where Batman was not anywhere near anybody for that to be a factor. But I guess like in terms of that point, yeah, it's not ideal. Plus,
Yeah.
like you never know about the whole ricochet bullet, if it could hit somebody else. But yeah, in the location of where Batman got shot, it wasn't anywhere near anybody, um, in that scene. But yeah, um, I guess that is something to note. I guess for me, I'd say like where I would have more of a problem with is like where uh when Batman is talking to Penguin, and then Selena Kyle walks in, which Selena Kyle is
Yeah.
not the problem because it's Zoe Kravitz. Um, it's more of like you know she happens to be
Martians.
the girlfriend of Annika, which is the person that was with the ex mayor's photo, basically. So that's so. Would you like to talk about that part?
Oh my god. Yeah, so yeah. I mean when she first appeared, just like yeah, that's attractive. And then but when take a step back and think about it, so the person who served the penguin, it's just connected to the person who is in the photo, which if it's another person, not Selena Kyle, walking inside, I will never make that connection immediately.
Yeah, because
And
like
also,
in terms of the plot, yeah, it's like there are elements in there that Batman does do detective skills, like in terms of like, well, one, there is a photo of Selena's boot in the frame, which he does see. Plus, he also noticed that Selena looked at that particular photo for a pretty long time before finally giving the drinks to Penguin. So there are, and then like obviously like she kept looking back uh at them Um, like when Batman and Penguin were talking when she left the room. So there are elements in there that Batman uses detective skills in terms of what he did, but obviously the thing that makes this happen is Selena Kyle walking into the room, if that makes sense. So yeah, there are like levels of deduction that Batman does, but a lot of that deduction comes from the convenience that, or I guess contrivance of Selena Kyle walking into the room. As if that didn't happen, the plot probably wouldn't have went the way that it did. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And
Um,
then there's
yeah, and like,
so,
go ahead.
and then like I mean there's more to come for this Bruce and Selena interaction scene, which is like but we'll get more to it later. Contrivances.
Yeah, so Batman follows Selena to her apartment. There is a very good shot in the film, and it makes me forgive a lot of these problems. We'll say that.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
lot of it.
uh, good cinematography.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so Selena Kyle, yeah, she's like talking to Hanika. Hanika is like very worried. She's getting threatened, and it turns out that Anika's passports are not in the area, so Selena had to go and get them back from the mayor's like I guess his
Yeah.
safe or something like that. So that's why she
Yeah.
went off to go get them, and then Batman went to follow her in that regard. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And then after Selena sneak inside, they have a brief fight scene.
Brief fight. Um,
Yep.
I know some people were worried that Batman would lose. He didn't lose. He got on top of her. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
yeah, the scene that showcases what can Selena do with her skills. She's sneaky. And she knows how to use gadgets to just open the safe in order to unlock it, which is yeah some skill showcases. And before she left the apartment, and how did she left the apartment? Oh yeah, she did acrobats to just go outside, which is yeah another nice showcase of her skill sets that's being set up.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So that's that kind of like sets up a lot of the stuff that happens later in the movie, which we did talk about that if he didn't meet Selena there, it probably wouldn't have happened the way that it did. When they go back to her apartment, they find that it's been
Mm.
ransacked and it's also been and Anika is gone herself. Now, I mean, there is something to question, like the convenience of this timing. Now, I feel like there is elements in the plot that is explained later that does talk about this, given that
Yeah,
like um Falcone has some understanding about Selena and her friend Anika. So there is like that kind of thing. Like he's out of the person that might cause problems is out of the house. So Anika's kind of left defenseless in that position. So that part makes sense to me. I don't know if you had
yeah.
other thoughts about that.
Yeah, one thing is like I mean I get the idea of that happening. Like Annika, like maybe just they just wait for Selena to go up before Annika or ranks at Annika. But the issue is I just see an issue. It's done in the same day that Batman just decided to meet the Selena Kyle, which is the like the day before Riddler tries to attack the mayor, which is like yeah, that's timing. It's if Riddler did it like a day before, which is yeah, they can literally avoid all of this, or just a day after. Batman will not just stumble across this. Selena brings him to her apartment.
Yeah, I mean, my thing about Batman and his interaction, I feel like everything is in character for him. Like I just don't he just doesn't care about going home and being Bruce Wayne. So like I believe him like going immediately to the apartment and going immediately with Selena anywhere that she went. not because it's Zoe Kravitz, but like that's just what Batman would do. Um, yeah, but other than that, it's like obviously like I think like in terms of Batman, that part is fine. I think Riddler is something to consider. I guess is like the timing is pretty well done. Uh, which I can't really fault the Riddler if he decides to do his plan that day. That part is fine. I think more the issue kind of lies on Falcone, um, which is which I say this because like Riddler is the one who started the plot on this day, so I'm not gonna fault the Riddler for doing that, and I'm not gonna fault Batman because like Batman doesn't care about going home and being Bruce Wayne. I think for Falcone, a lot of it comes down to he is the one who's making the decision of you know capturing Monica after Selena leaves. Which I guess in that regard, you think about Selena leaving, which she said they were trying to leave as quickly as possible, but they didn't have Anika's passport that was in the ex mayor's safe. Which I guess brings it.
Yeah,
The thing about this is like there's a lot of things that you can think about, like
yeah, and
why did the mayor have her passport and all that. So there are some
that's
things that are kind of there are
I mean,
things to think about. Um,
there's one potential issue. Just like maybe I think about it. It's like the later of the film that is revealed Penguin and Falcone like work together or something.
yeah,
So if
Penguin is
so
under
if like the
Falcone.
pen yeah, so if Penguin and Batman talk already and he saw Batman follow Selina out, and maybe there's a possible chance that Penguin will just call Falcone, just move the kidnapping to a day later or something. It's like it's just possible. Just think about it.
Yeah, unless like I mean, my other thing is like it is tough to say because a lot of this is in Batman's point of view. Unless there's like some kind of explanation that like they kept an eye on the place, uh, uh, in that regard. But my only thing about that is like, I mean, it did take time for Selena to get home. So was this before or after she got home? Which we know now it's after she got home. But what if they were scouting the place before and Selena wasn't there then? So there is like that. Like there are things to think about in that regard. Um. So yeah, uh
It's
that is something that I found pretty flimsy in the first act.
that's my major issue when I saw the film. In the first act, because there's more to come.
Yeah.
Then
Next thing that happens, well, Batman and Selena they team up a bit, go to the Iceberg Lounge, and they uh try to go to what do they call it? The Lounge in the Lounge, I think. Basically a strip club, essentially in the place. Selena wears a very interesting costume. Yeah.
I remember.
Um,
Mm,
I did like the there's another Batman humor. It's like where he like tells Selena to look at him, then he like stares into her eyes. It looks like they're about to kiss, but then he just stops and says, "Looks good." Talking about the context that he put in her eyes. That is a Batman moment as well.
yeah,
Um. So yeah, she goes inside. She sees a bunch of people from Gotham City Police Department in the lounge area, and one of those people includes the DA Gil Colson, um, in the area as well, which Batman tries to get her to talk to him. He is very drunk, so he starts talking about things like the Maroney case, uh, in that situation. Now, I just, I guess one question you could ask is like, you know, he is drunk, so there is like moments of loose lips in that regard. Do you have anything you would like to say about that part?
I mean, not really. It's just detective skills. I mean, Selena using her attractiveness to get more info from him. I mean, there's a girl. I mean, there's a one flimsy part, just like the girl who's in that photo or something. It's just right next to the cop talking to him, and then she just follows her out because she recognized the person on the photo. It's something like that. Sorry, my memory is flimsy right at this point.
Yeah, no, the girl is Annika. The thing is like the girl that was with Coulson, the thing is like Coulson was talking about um he was talking about the Maroney case, and then she was saying like uh you should probably stop talking like that. You don't want the same thing like Annika to happen to you. That part is like, so that gets like Selena to ask about like why'd you say that name? Uh Flashback to Batman v Superman. Um so yeah, it's like, so she's the one who mentioned that Annika was um something happened to Annika in that regard, in terms of like, I guess like, to summarize it better, it's like, um what was it? Yeah, so like she was telling the DA like, stop talking like that, or something like Annika will happen to you as well. Um so I guess in that regards it's like, the did this have to be said, is the question, because we know she doesn't seem drunk herself compared to Colson. So, but that is like something that triggers Selena to go
Or
after to
her.
go after her, which Batman did not want that to happen, but there was nothing really what he could
Yeah,
do. Uh,
yeah, that's
it doesn't really add anything to the conversation. It gets Selena to get up out of her seat to talk to her. She doesn't learn anything from this interaction, so it's not like it affected anything in the plot. But it is something like, did this have to be mentioned? Um, in that regard. But I can't say like it's too much of an issue because it doesn't change the plot if she was told about
I
this or
mean,
not. But I guess it did have her talk to Falcone, because Falcone was asking like, is there a problem between the two of
and
them?
yeah, he just
Which,
so happens to be walking inside the when she's about to leave.
yeah, I guess there's that part. Um, I don't know, because like my whole thing about the Falcone thing is like, I think you can still have her talk to Falcone in a different context, and it would still be the same. Uh,
Uh,
I mean, his reasoning for talking to her is because like the two of them were like arguing before he walked in. So that gets him to say like, "Are you having a problem here?" It's like, "No, it's just girl talk." So there is like aspects there, but like I still feel like if Falcone was to arrive later or earlier, he would still talk to Selena because he is familiar with Selena in the in that area. So
yeah,
I don't know if it's too much of a problem per se. I just think like it's an
yeah,
interesting interaction to say.
yeah. It can be done a bit better. Just like that's what I found out. I mean, compared to like other issues that we will have. Then she cries in the bathroom.
Yeah, and Batman is trying to, you know, ask like, does he have a relationship with her? Um, which gets her to, take the context out of her eyes so that he can stop looking at her. Um,
And the final shot before the contacts being pulled off, yeah, that's an interesting shot on Batman's screen.
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you can kind of, the thing about Batman in the film, with in terms of his like his interest in Selena, he doesn't say like anything about love or anything about that, but you can see that his body language is completely different when he talks to Selena or when he thinks about Selena. Um, like we will get to the funeral scene in a bit, but like something that I found interesting is like when he saw the boot that is similar to Selena's. He tries following her because like he really hoped that was not Selena with Falcone. Um, but so it's like I guess like what is it, like simp behavior? I don't know about that though.
Yeah.
I mean,
But yeah.
Batman
Hmm.
can get her.
But
But yeah, go ahead.
but yeah. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
there's a promotion picture of Zoe Kravitz in that suit that you mentioned.
yeah.
Yeah, and they
It's
treat it as a promotional picture.
that's
Which,
that's kind of the thing though, because like that was the first. I think that was the first photo we got of Selena Kyle. Like like in terms of behind the scenes photos, like that was the first like photo that we got to see of Selena Kyle, and it's not her.
yeah,
It was someone else.
I mean, I just think that they just trick the viewers to think that it is Zoe Kravitz in that suit during the movie. It's a promotional picture.
Yeah, 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 and I can see it in that regard. It's like it's kind of like you are kind of like in Batman's perspective. Is this really Selena? Is she really with Falcone? Uh, and he was hoping that it wasn't her, and he's glad that it wasn't her. That's just I think it fits in terms of like what they wanted us to feel, because we've seen the photos, so it's like
Yep.
we really hope that's not Selena. I think that's what they were going for. Though it is unfortunate because it is a pretty good look on Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah,
All
shame.
leather too. So yeah.
Yeah,
But before the funeral stuff, Coulson gets out of the bar. He goes to his car,
into the car,
and the Riddler
killer attack.
was in the back seat, and he straps a bomb on Coulson's neck. So anything you want to mention there?
Yeah, nothing. Just nothing too sort of character. Maybe there's maybe a flimsy part. Just like maybe if Coulson just bring another person to his car, like he
He
wanted for
wanted
Selena
Zoe in
Kyle,
the
of course.
car. Yeah. Selena,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, which is like yeah, I want Zoe Kravitz to be in the car as well, but it's like yeah, if he's willing to bring a person to his car, it's like that will cause an issue for Riddler to attack him if he just brings another girl to his car. He's just willing to do that already. That's part just that's a part just like that's kind of that is a potential problem.
Yeah. I guess like my regard is like it depends on where he was planning to go. I mean, he was drunk as well. And Riddler was like hiding in the back seat. He was hiding there until like he was able to attack. If someone else was in the car, I'd assume he would still stay hidden until that other person is gone. But it does change the plot because like, is he smart enough to deal with that situation if there was another person in the car? We're not sure about that, which I can agree to that. In that aspect. So
And
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm?
the car scene is cool. Besides that, the car scene is cool when Riddler attacks Coulson, which yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And so I believe next is the funeral. Well, I guess like before there was like Batman and Alfred talking about the uh like him going out as Bruce Wayne, which Alfred was like really surprised to see that this is going to be the case. Cuz like Bruce Wayne, he just doesn't like to be Bruce Wayne typically, so that was just something that he found interesting, which Batman is saying, like, typically when the funeral of a person happens, the murderer would try to would possibly go to the area, just kind of like scout the area and stuff like that. Given that the Riddler has like done a few things prior, which I guess is like, I guess like you can ask like, is this always the case? I'm not sure. I'm not a murderer, so I would not know that. Um, but yeah, that is something to I guess ask. Like, what if the Riddler wasn't there? I still don't think it changes too much. Because like he does see someone wearing glasses later in the top balcony. He still didn't see the person's face, so because of the shadowing.
And
Uh,
there's a lot of people in the funeral as well. Just like
there's a
he
lot
may
of
not
people in the
even notice.
funeral, and he was going to the funeral anyways because he was the mayor and all that. He did see the mayor's son as well. Out of respect, I'd still believe he would go to the funeral regardless of if the Riddler was there or not. Um. So
Which
yeah. So yeah.
um, yeah, but for when he walked inside, there's like the future mayor of the movie talking to him, which is like, yeah, that's a setup for her being assassin in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. We will talk about her a little bit when we get to that part of the
Yeah.
film. Um. I guess like what we could mention is like before. You have, Bruce Wayne there. You have he's like going after the woman he thought was Selena Kyle. Um.
Uh,
Which gets everybody to turn around him, Penguin, Falcone, and then the lady that isn't Selena. They do have like a discussion about uh Bruce's father saving Carmine Falcone's life, giving him a surgery that um saved his life, and it sets up another plot line that happens later in the movie. So that's just something to keep in mind when we move forward. As
and
for
then
yeah,
I think, I mean, besides that, after a while, the killer just start to plan the attack. Yeah, I think that's the part later.
yeah, yeah. Um, you you do get to see Batman interacting with the with well, I guess Bruce Wayne interacting with the people in the funeral. Something that I really liked is that when he starts talking to the mayor, he doesn't say anything. Like Pattinson doesn't say anything in that scene, uh, including the part where he's listening to Gordon talking to the I guess the chief of police, about that Coulson is missing, how he's looking at the mayor's son, uh, which gets that whole remembering him as a child aspect, and then you also have like the when the car comes inside the building, you see Batman
Yeah,
running after to save the kid from getting hit. Something
which
you'd like to
is good
mention?
character moments. Yeah, that's kind of when I saw it, just like, wait, how did you survive that crash? And not even surviving, you just get out of it like without injury, even though you just crashed through a door, through a building, and to a door. It's I don't even know. I mean, did you intend to drive it that fast because the Riddler command you to? Because your legs are not stuck in brakes or something. Just like, yeah, that's you should have been injured. You should have been injured already when he crashed a car inside the church or something.
I think there was an airbag uh in
Yeah,
this in the car. I think um they do have the scene in high quality online, so I will edit it in to see if that is the case. So yeah, um I really like something else I liked about the scene is like the way that people interact in the scene is pretty realistic. Like it's kind of it's a minor thing, but what I like about it is like when people are hearing the noise that's happening outside, people are the extras are getting up in staggers like, and not like in unison at once. Because like when something is happening outside, some people react to it slower than others. Um, so that's just something I found neat. And then when Coulson gets out of the car, someone points out that he has a bomb around his neck, which gets everybody to scream. And then when the first cell phone ring happens, everybody's natural instinct was to duck. At that moment, so I thought that was done really well in terms of like the extra direction, in that scene. Well, everybody ducked except for Bruce himself. Um, and yeah, that's just I found that really interesting. I found that really neat in the context of the scene. Um,
And yeah,
I,
and
I'm not
then
I'm not sure how like someone like Rags would feel like if when Gordon was saying like everybody move in to the guy in the car, which I think is reasonable since there are a lot of them behind him. So like if there were to be an attacker inside, I would not think that like not moving in is a bad idea in that
yeah,
context.
and then there's the Bruce saw the like the card in front of his body, which is set to Batman.
Yeah.
Like, just like, yeah, I mean, I mean, to be honest, just like maybe if he's not in this position, he won't saw it. But at the same time, just like if he didn't saw it, Gordon would still just call the Batman, and just told him everything about it. We come and brief what is happening. So just like, yeah, that's really a nitpick for me.
Yeah, yeah. Um that's true. That's true. I don't think it does too much in terms of like because like the bomb is not going to go off until he attempts to do the riddles. So that, and then we do see in the daylight timing changes from it's like daytime before the car crash, and then we see an exterior shot of the building where it's like nighttime or like late afternoon. Um, so he was sitting there for a while for Colson. So I don't I don't think like the bomb would have went. So like even if the Batman arrived later in the scene, I still think that Coulson will not die until Batman gets there. So it is something to consider. I don't think it changes if Batman if
Yeah.
Batman or Bruce Wayne was not there or not. But
I mean, besides the major kids being killed, I guess, because the car just crashes onto him.
yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. I don't think the kid had enough time to really react to that because like Bruce was running in his direction anyways. Which I'm not sure if he would still be frozen at that moment, but I guess that's something to consider. Um, yeah, but it is hard to tell what an 8-year-old boy's reaction time will be. So that's also true.
Then Batman being called to the at night to solve the card. Really riddles.
Yeah. So so basically, in that context, Batman arrives. He reads the card, and then he's asked to answer the phone call. He does. Him and Riddler have like a bit of a conversation. Batman's trying to ask like who are you, and Riddler's saying you'll that Batman is a part of what he wants to do, which Batman asks like how am I a part of this, and then Riddler says see. Then he starts talking about Coulson and how he is basically this is like live stream to the people of Gotham, uh,
Yeah.
where this is kind of like I think this scene. Well, this is where Riddler is like a little bit more emotive Because he did have like a threatening call about killing the commissioner's Savage with rats eating his face, which I guess we forgot to mention that part earlier in the movie. So here he's a little bit more of like, it's like Coulson is like talking about, give me a chance. It's like nobody ever gave me a chance. Uh, he's laughing a bit more in the scene. So his demeanor is a bit different from what we saw earlier in the movie, but I still don't think it's out of character um in that regard. It's just that he's having a lot of fun with Coulson since Coulson is corrupt and he's still trying to make fun of a dark situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gives Coulson three riddles to solve. Um, like what is your like the first riddle involves him saying justice. The
Yeah, which
second
is the
riddle,
easiest.
the easiest one, yeah. The second riddle is about bribery, and then the third riddle is saying who bribed you that prevented you from giving justice, meaning who is the rat that that he had to cover up for so that's the only thing that Batman was able to help him with those two riddles in the beginning. Batman clearly can't help him in the third one because he doesn't know
Yeah,
what Coulson knows. Uh,
yeah,
and all this is on a
and then
timer as well. Go ahead.
yeah, pretty intense. It's a pretty intense scene for that context to just like showing that how smart Batman is to help this person getting out of this tragedy, and while in during intense timing. It's like yeah, I think that's pretty good scene in that regard to just showcase how smart Batman is.
And
While
under the
trying to get the
pressure as
answer
well.
in
Yeah.
that, and then
Yeah. Then
final.
Coulson really does not want to answer the third question. Batman is getting close to Coulson, like, come on, your life is on the line. Like, just say the guy, say the rat, and you're not gonna die. And he's desperately trying to get him to say it so that he doesn't die. Uh, I don't. I interacted with someone very stupid, like saying, like, why didn't he try pulling it off? Like, it's a collar bomb. Like, have you never seen that before?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Even yeah,
even then, yeah.
even
Um,
then, just
Coulson is just
relevant.
saying he's saying like this is bigger than everybody in Gotham. This is bigger than you. This is bigger than Batman. Bigger than the Riddler. This is bigger than Gotham City. Which some people think this is a nod to the Court of Owls comics. That's a different conversation. Um, but like he's saying like he just he doesn't want it. If he says the name, he's gonna die anyways. So Batman, there's nothing he could do. The bomb goes off, and it knocks Batman out, uh, out of the
Yeah,
area. Now, something to note in the scene, which I have noticed a few reactions to this part. Obviously, like Batman takes an explosion. Um, does that make sense or not? Well, first let me see
yeah.
what you think.
To be honest, that's I mean, even if it's plot armor, I just like this is the least destructive version of plot armor in this movie. I'd say. 'Cause at least he has a bat suit that is bulletproof, and he got knocked out for a while, like hours, I guess, an hour at most. But
Yeah,
just like I think the part that's the most exposed is the mouth part, which is like taking it point blank.
yeah.
Like maybe
So the thing is, in the editing, I think the thing is, Batman does have a armbar on his face when he gets blown back, but the problem is like the edit before the explosion where it shows his face, it shows the blast happening, and then the next shot shows his arms covering his mouth, uh, that his mouth area, which so he is covering his face with his arms, from the explosion, However, the editing, like I can understand where people missed that, because like in the initial edit, it didn't look like he did that, which means it looked like he took a blast to the face, literally. So
Yeah,
I just think that part was kind of that was a bit on the editing part in terms of not getting the right timing of him shielding his face uh prior to the next shot. Um but yeah, on the other hand, he does get knocked out, so it's
yeah,
not like he got up right after this happened, so I will take that. I don't know if it can be cap for some people, but like
which
personally
yeah, I'm fine with this.
I can take that for this
Yeah,
part of the film.
yeah, I'm
Um
fine with this as well. I'm fine with this parts, but which is and then after he got knocked out, he's bringing it to the police station.
yeah, now I mean, so there are aspects like, in terms of, you know, uh they're talking about taking the mask off to see who's under there. Now Gordon is in the scene. Um so I don't think Gordon would let people do that, which I found pretty neat in the film is that Gordon did have like an interaction with Batman earlier. It's like early in the movie it's like, uh I don't even know who you are under that mask. But like and I found it neat in terms of like even when he had the opportunity to see who was under the mask, he still doesn't do that out of respect for the friend that he has. So I found that pretty cool with Gordon. Um, I mean, Gordon has like some power, but does he have enough power to stop everybody from not pulling the mask? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's and we don't know his process of bringing Batman into the police station. Maybe I don't even know does he stay on the same car as Batman? Or have like anyone just take a peek inside?
Yeah, yeah. It's going on faith in Gordon and how he would interact in this moment. I guess like if I pull my comic brain out, that's kind of how I see Gordon. Um, and I feel like it's in character for him to do that.
Yeah,
Obviously,
uh,
you can't like. Lots of people are going to be curious. Um, can you stop that from happening? I don't know. And the problem with the
I'm not
editing is we
sure.
can't really tell if this is the case.
And
I
I
can
mean,
take it, but like I'd have to. But I can believe an issue can arise from this thing.
yeah.
Now, on the
If it
other,
like compared to yeah, if it compared to Batman Begins, like there's people who try to take off his mask, but it's like there's a taser inside, so you just like stop you from doing that. I mean, if there's like this function in his bat suit, just like yeah, I will believe I will not like ask this question and just like maybe no one will actually see it because Scorn process it, which is like yeah. I'll say that I'll say that the Batman Begins there's this aspect that makes it work if it's
yeah,
put
and
inside this
the
movie.
Dark Knight, you have Joker trying to pull the mask as well when Batman was like unconscious for a little bit, which it did shock him in the hand, which Joker does laugh it off when that happens. Yeah, so the thing is like I don't think this suit had that feature, which would bring in that question. I think it easily fixes if you add the taser element to the guy who tried to pull it off, or have someone say I want to take a look, and then someone else could like rub his hand and said like I already tried that before and it wasn't good. Um, that way it's like you kind of like at least have the you have some aspect of someone tried to pull off the mask but they couldn't do it because like something happened to his hand, which I'd say is like a shock to the hand would be fine to make that point. That's just something I'd do in terms of like if you want to fix it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, because like I believe in the Arkham games, like he has certain like certain fingerprints that are allowed to pull the mask off, like his own, Alfred, Gordon, I think maybe Catwoman, I'm not sure. So like he does have it for some people, they can do that, but like the people who can't do that, they're not allowed to do that. So that's just something that's like something they could use. They could fix that in the sequel to make the mask more, you know,
Uh,
open proof, I guess to say that. So yeah, the this gets like Batman versus the cops essentially in the scene. Would you
yeah,
like to
which is
talk while I get some water?
yeah, it's fine. I mean, to be honest, I like the fact that like Gordon just like okay, everyone get out of here, so I can talk to Batman alone, and just like and they're like and he's just like yeah, I'm gonna help you escape, which is like yeah, that's pretty good character stuff of good to do. Just support this vigilante when no one's around, and then even just like yeah, punch me in the face. Just like yeah, I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, gives
So,
the key as well. That allows him to get
indeed.
out of that door.
And,
Yeah, that was that was pretty neat. And I guess like just to take a little break on that, I really like Jeffrey Wright in the role. I think he does a really good job in the film. I mean, for me, I think I'd still stick to Gary Oldman as Gordon.
yeah,
Overall, I feel like
yeah, I
well,
think
obviously Gary just had more to do, um, in terms of his version of the character. Uh,
I mean
yeah,
yeah, I saw the Dark Knight recently, like again, and just like yeah, Gary Oldman did have more to do that compared to Jeffrey Wright, and have can emote more. I say.
yeah, that's true. I think what I liked about this version of Gordon is like this one actually treats Batman like a friend while also treating him like a vigilante as well. Or well, I guess more of a hero is the right word to put it. Which I know it's like hard to explain it in terms of my context of how I see it. It's kind of more like with Gordon, I feel like sometimes the aspect is like they focus a lot on that this is a cop, this is the hero, and now they're interacting. Whereas like this Batman and Gordon is more like friends in that regard, which I can like, which I think it credits to Pattinson and Wright's chemistry really well. In this scene where they can have like moments of levity with each other while also staying on task of that they're trying to solve the Riddler case together. So that's just something that I found neat in terms of this adaptation of Bruce and Gordon. So yeah, yeah. The next part here is
Some
they
they they run away from the cops.
run away from the cops, and
Which,
which I'm
yeah,
good thing they didn't start shooting in the hallway. I will give it that because there's a bunch of
yeah,
other cops in the hallway. So I don't know why someone
but,
complained about that. That would be stupid. Now,
yeah, which is like
in terms of him using the grapple up from the
yeah,
area, that I could see a problem.
yeah,
Um,
that's
so
I
like,
see a bunch.
what do you think?
Yeah, it's like yeah, when they start shooting, just like oh my god, there's a bunch of people around the area, around the hallway, which is like several stories high. And it's like, wait, are you sure you're not afraid to hit anyone in the top of the building? Just a question.
Yeah,
In the
cause
spread,
Batman was going up, like in a straight line, which I guess is their logic. I still don't know if it's a safe option to do that. On the other hand, another thing that I would also mention is like I am pretty glad they didn't start shooting Batman when he was gliding into the city, cause yeah, if Batman if they started shooting Batman when he was going down, you could easily hit a civilian, and I'm glad they didn't try doing that. Um, but yeah, when he's going up the spiral staircase essentially with his grapple, that's pretty questionable. We'll say it is a reference to Year One, which is why they did that. But
Um,
still questionable in that regard. So yeah, the glide. Let's talk about it.
and
So I guess
most
first I'll
major.
say the glide suit it needs a bit of work. I think it's fine as a prototype. Um, like how it looks, but it does look pretty. It looks pretty goofy when he starts gliding with it. Uh, but yeah, now we can talk about the glide itself.
Yeah. Okay. So Batman glide under a bridge, and then she just unleash his parachute, stuck on the bridge, and then he just launches like 1,000 feet to the ground, like in hyperspeed,
Well,
and
first,
he
yeah,
gets up just
he hits his head on the
yeah,
under part of the bridge, which is like so the way it was framed is like he was trying to get on the bus, like the bus that was going under the bridge, which I'm not sure why he wanted to do it that way.
yeah,
Because like I know the
yeah.
point of this is like they wanted him to have a fail, because this is year two, and I'm okay with that in theory. Um, that part is okay. My problem is like the decision of how to fail for this part is ridiculous. Which
Yeah.
so yeah, he tries going on the bus, which is going under the bridge, which when he releases his parachute kind of thing, it extends his head to go into the bottom of the bridge and hits the bus and then rolls on garbage. And then, you know, he is in pain, so but not enough pain to the point where that of where he should be, which is probably dead. Um
and and doesn't
yeah.
and he's just completely fine afterwards, which is even more ridiculous when you think about it. Just before he just took an explosion to the face and it knocked him out.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and again, I was saying like I don't mind him failing a glide because this is year 2. That's totally fine. But there's a much safer way to do that without potentially killing him. Like let's say he does glide over the building, like first glide over the bridge, um, and then he's like heading towards the road, and he's about to land, but like instead of landing on his feet, it caused him to roll a bit onto the ground. That at least is like a safe way of getting him to fail, but not potentially die from it. So that's it's an easy fix, and I really don't know why they did it that way.
Uh,
It's like yeah, I know it's meant to be a fail, but there's ways to fail without killing yourself. That's reasonable at least. So that's just something that was interesting in the discussion. So so yeah, that was the glide scene. Um,
and
so we
then
have
both
more interactions with Batman and Gordon.
Gordon.
They I talked about the you could have pulled your punch line. Um, they deduced that a rat with wings, which is a riddle that came from back when the commissioner was killed. Um, they were thinking about Penguin being the rat.
which
Um, so
which is fine. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, well, they go after the penguin.
so yeah,
And what do you
they track him down. Which he was in the middle of a drug deal.
yeah,
Um, apparently it's like this whole thing with Maroni. Uh, so it's apparently still happening, and they do have some GCPD cops that are involved with this situation as well. Um, so they do follow him to that area. We did have a bit of a discussion here. I'm gonna try my best to see if we can translate that discussion into here. Uh, so I could believe that Batman could know about this operation in terms of like you know, where it is, when it's gonna happen, all that. I could believe that. There's also Selena Kyle who enters this scene as well, which we do know that she is a servant to Penguin and she is capable of hearing, and all that. And I could believe that she would know about this Penguin thing happening as well. I think I can believe both of those aspects. Now, for both of them, Batman and Catwoman, to be in the scene at the same time, that might be a
Yeah,
bit
that's
questionable.
yeah, that's
Is it
tried.
unreasonable? No,
No, but
but
perfect timing.
it's just the
Perfect
timing, yeah.
timing. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
go ahead.
yeah, because Batman just saw Catwoman coming in the scene, so he have to abandon his plan and just go down to stop her to do anything. And Annika is in the back of the car.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
which we learn later in the movie that Falcone was setting up Penguin for him to take the blame. Um, that was the idea, at least.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
there's multiple cars, so just like so she just opens the one that has the body.
yeah.
I mean, how
I
many?
mean,
Yeah,
hmm.
yeah. There's a few of them. Just open the one that has a body. Just you just pick one and just yeah. Here's the body.
Well,
It's a
she opened all of them. The body was last.
yeah. I'm not sure. I don't remember that much.
Yeah. Um.
Mm.
So at that moment, Penguin starts shooting. His goon starts shooting. Um.
And it knocks Batman out.
He knocks Batman out. I don't know if he knocked him out. I think it's more of like because like it looked like Batman was faking it.
But
What's the point of
I
that? I'm not sure, but it did
would
give him. I guess it did give him time for
get into
Penguin to be scared in a regard for him to move on to the car,
yeah.
which obviously we don't see that. Um, so there is that aspect.
Just yeah. I mean, there's another aspect. It's just like, are you sure that pretending to fake a death it's better than getting into a Batmobile to chase them afterwards? It's like, is it really a fair trade? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. Um, we do have the Batmobile. Um, well, I guess another thing to mention is that Gordon is also there. He's trying to shoot from his car, but like obviously it's just one guy versus four people. So he's not really able to do anything in that context. Um, which I guess would say that that is like the moment in time where that takes away their attention from where Batman is at the moment. So if Batman were to disappear, there is like some room to explain that. I don't think it's a great explanation, but I think that's something at least.
Something, yeah. Then just like so they have a chase and Selena steal a bag of money.
Yeah,
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 bought yeah. Just yeah, she's off until till the scene afterwards, like even later.
yeah.
Oh, the chase scene.
So the chase scene. Like to talk about that?
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of the structures on the way, which is on high it's on high traffic and there's a lot of F explosion, which to be honest, I don't remember that much besides the final part. I mean, I do like the scene until at the end, just like yeah, Penguin just blows the truck up and there's a rail right in this position for Batman to just fly above to dodge the explosion and just to stand right there to just flip their car over and to knock the penguin out. Just like, yeah, that's first off, yeah, that's a bit too bullshit at the end, which is like, and
Yeah.
then the decision to just flip the entire car over, just like, okay, that can potentially kill a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like, yeah,
And I guess good thing you had a seatbelt on. Um. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Um. He didn't have to go onto the highway. Um. I can't really fault Batman in that regard because like Penguin is the one who brought it to the highway. Um. Then again, I guess the other question is, have to use the Batmobile, in general for this to happen? Probably not. But at that point, I think that'd be changing too much of the film, so I don't want to go too far into that discussion.
yeah. I
As
mean, I
for
just think,
as for this stuff, along with the whole this whole thing with Gordon, Batman basically playing a good cop, bad cop. Um, it have a conversation with Penguin. They try to ask about him being the rat. Uh, talk about the El Rata Alada, which Penguin says like, do you know Spanish at all? La Rata is the term, which I guess is they question like, was that a mistake by the Riddler? But like Batman is not trying to say that Riddler doesn't know what he's talking about. So then he tries reading it again, the riddle, which is URL Rada Alada. So instead of El Rada Alada, he's thinking URL. So that's like a website. Um,
which,
I thought it was a good, I thought it was an interesting like little play of words.
yeah,
In
which
terms of a
is,
riddle, like it seems obvious, but it's not as obvious on first glances.
uh,
Pointed out.
I mean, thing I like about it is like after like Batman accused him of being the rat, he just like, no. Do you know what it sounds like for a for a rat with a wings? A bat, which is like, yeah, I like that moment. It's
Yeah,
kind of like in character for Penguin,
yeah,
and to like and to point out that there's more than one alternative solutions for this riddle.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely true. Yeah. So Batman does go into the website, Rada, which was a thing that we could
Yeah,
access on the internet, post the movie, and Riddler would have a bunch of riddles and a bunch of Easter eggs from the production of the movie, which I thought it was a really good, I guess, world building in one regard, and like it was also pretty good at getting some engagement of answering riddles of our own. I thought that was pretty cool. In the context of the movie, it's like a little dark web kind of website for Batman to talk to the Riddler. Riddler talks about a new riddle of where he would like Batman to go, which involved an orphanage. So they go to the orphanage, but before that, the question in hand is leaving Penguin behind. Gordon and Batman do
yeah.
that. So, what do you
That,
think
to
about
be
that?
okay, so in the surface, I just like, yeah, that's actually pretty funny. When after Penguin, which is like, wait, are you gonna release me and then just drive the car off? Which is like, oh, so no. Just like, yeah, I did chuckle in that moment.
Yeah. Now
It's just like,
there's a bit of a discussion like should he be arrested for the traffic moment. Now there's a bit of leeway that happens here, only because like of the situation that involves with Gordon and Batman pursuing Penguin. One, they'd have to explain why was a vigilante like Batman, who is not, he's a vigilante, so his word is not really going to be valuable. As for what happened, and the second for Gordon, who would be credible, but the thing is, like, Gordon went to a drug bust without a warrant, which he would have to admit to that, which would get him into trouble. The car chase itself would also get him in trouble in terms of uh, he did all of this on outside of the law. So there's some leeway for this to happen. It's not the best, but there is something else in the film with Penguin that could be more credible as to this could get him arrested. No doubt about it. But that's we'll mention that later. Um, so we are at the orphanage. Batman and Gordon. It's an abandoned orphanage. This was funded by the Waynes. Um, and something that I found neat was when Gordon pulls out a gun. Batman says, "No guns," and then Gordon says, "That's your thing." Um, good, good. Uh, I know it's the topic of should Batman have guns is very highly debated. Uh, but
Yeah.
I liked it. He didn't have guns, so there's that. So yeah, in this scene, we learned that the Riddler was someone in the orphanage. He has a problem with Thomas Wayne. Because Thomas Wayne has lied about the retribution that he was promising for the orphans. But obviously the thing he talks about is the sins of the father. So can't do anything to Thomas. He goes after Bruce Wayne instead, which makes
Yeah.
Batman leave quickly because Alfred is in trouble at this point.
Yeah. And so there's a phone call. I mean, attempt to just call Alfred to just leave the box, and then bait and switch. Bomb goes off already.
Yeah, they said the bomb went off an hour ago. His
Yeah.
female caretaker. I didn't catch her name. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, she was saying that the bomb went off like an hour ago. She's been trying to call Bruce a lot, but he wasn't picking up. Um,
Which is yeah fair because she's a vigilante and he should just shut off his phone.
yeah, that's true. Um, so yeah, this sends Alfred to the hospital. I guess one question is, does would you think this would kill him or no?
I'm not sure. I mean, he does throw the bomb for a distance and just duck down. And he is in a coma for like a few days, so just like, uh, I mean, I guess, I mean, I guess I can believe that.
Yeah, and plus, like, the side of his face is like burned as well, so it's not like he didn't take any damage. Obviously, the coma is a pretty big damage as well. Um,
Just,
so yeah, so there are some physical scars on Alfred. Um, I guess that part is fine. Um,
I
there is
mean,
obviously the fireproof card for Batman to pick up later, which
yeah, I mean,
says "See you in hell" in it.
maybe
What
the only question I think about it is like, how did the bomb works? Which is, if it's in timer, we're just lucky that Alfred just throws it away before it just hits him.
I think the
And
concept of a
that's
letter bomb is like it involves if you open the letter itself, it'll detonate. I think that's the idea. I'm not familiar with letter bombs to confirm that.
yeah.
Um, At least that was my interpretation of how they work.
I'm not sure
Uh,
as well, which is
yeah,
maybe yeah. But he did throw it in the moment before it explodes, so it's just like, that's a bit lucky if it's like the letter bomb just detonates after like just in time for Alfred to just saw the back of it and just throw it for a little bit.
yeah. So next up we got um well, Batman reacting to the Riddler leaking information about Thomas and his mother. Uh Thomas Wayne was running for mayor before he was murdered. Um he apparently apparently a journalist um who has the last name of Elliot, which is what comic fans will recognize as Thomas Elliot, who is Hush, another Batman villain. He was able to discover that the Martha's family had like a history of murder, and which involved his mother Martha Wayne to go to Arkham Asylum for mental illness. So Thomas was trying to shut that up by getting Falcone involved, uh, which dealt with the journalist. Uh, so this obviously wasn't good on Bruce's psyche because he always thought his father to be like a morally upstanding guy. Um, so what he does is he goes to Falcone himself and talks about it. So I guess this aspect has a bit of polarizing opinions. So what do you think about him talking to Falcone?
Well, it depends, I guess, because at the same time he does know that Falcone that's is like is a criminal and he will lie. At the same time, he does want closure, so and Alfred isn't there. I can see that he could possibly go to Falcone to ask for information, and especially he is being connected, and he won't kill Bruce anyway. He's a rich billionaire that everyone knows about it. Just like maybe, yeah, I guess that makes sense, which is like my conclusion about it.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't think it's like. I don't think Bruce like immediately believes everything that Falcone said. I mean, Falcone was saying pieces of a story that kind of adds up, I guess, but it's not like in the regards of like Bruce is like 100% believing everything Falcone says. Like Falcone's just talking about you know um Thomas did save his life, and you know, Falcone was in debt for Thomas for saving his life. So if he ever needed anything, he could do that for Thomas. So when Thomas talks about the journalist, uh, gives Falcone the idea to send a hit on him, which we don't know if that's true or not, because when Alfred talks about it, he has no idea what what actually happened. Was it actually someone from Falcone's payroll, or was it just some guy that was too scared to pull the trigger, too scared at the moment, and he pulled the trigger at that point? Which it still leaves up to open interpretation as to who killed the Waynes. Which I I'm fine with that being open ended. There's no reason to really dwell on the person who killed the Waynes, and there's really no point in showing his parents getting shot again. So
Yeah,
that's
and
the other
it's not
thing.
even that important to the
Yeah.
story, and even
So yeah. So he does go to Alfred, when he gets out of his coma. Alfred was saying that Thomas talked to Falcone to intimidate the journalist, but he realized the errors of his ways, and then he told Falcone that he would turn Falcone over to the police once he discovered that he murdered him. the journalist, um, which which is what leads Alfred to believe that Falcone hired men to kill his parents. Uh, so there are some elements there. I think like my thing about this situation is like I guess stepping away from this aspect, something that like involves the Riddler Waynes is that there isn't really enough time, I'd say, in the film for Bruce to really react to Thomas and his mother having these like not so great marks in their history. Like I feel like they would spend a bit more time on Bruce learning this aspect, which I can understand why they didn't do that, due to the fact that there is a lot in the movie itself. I feel like I feel like it was worth some more time for Batman to really react to this exchange that happened. Um, but yeah, that's just
Mm,
I guess that's like a minor thing for me. In terms of this, I feel like it should have had a bit more. Uh, because this is his parents after all. Uh,
yeah. I mean, just resolved pretty quickly, and yeah, I do like the scene of it of ever telling him what's the truth, which is like, yeah, it does change his mind for a bit later for the art for the film.
yeah, and it does take a standpoint in the story. Like Bruce is like talking about, you know, I've spent my whole life trying to master this fear and like everything that has to do with it, and he still has moments of where he gets scared because like or he's like that little 8-year-old boy again because of if someone else were to die because he doesn't care about dying himself, but if someone else like someone he cared about like Alfred were to die, he would want to be able to forgive himself for that, which Alfred extends a hand and Bruce grabs it. I thought that was really well done.
Yep.
um yeah, and then yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
I would still prefer it. There's a bit more interaction beforehand to just have the relationship being developed better for this moment to earn more. But yeah, yeah, it's a nice moment, and
Yeah,
despite that,
yeah, and I do think like part of it comes down to like uh because these two characters have been around for so long. Like we kind of understand what's happening between the two. But like in terms of like if you were a newcomer, it does feel a bit rushed, I guess, in that
yeah.
regard. So I have to be fair in that regard to see the other point of view. Um, yeah. So this this later gets to the point where Bruce looks up into the sky. He sees the signal on again. Which I believe that's where Selena was the one who turned on the signal. Um, no, that
Yeah. Just yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, Selena can break into places easily, and if the place is locked, he can just get inside and out the bat.
he has a grapple too. So, um, yeah, I think this was like the moment where tells Batman Falcone's her dad and uh how he was neglected. He neglected her in her life. Got his mother killed. He got her mother killed. Um, this is also the white privilege line as well, which
Yeah. Which is I'm fine with it beforehand, but she state her motivation, and then when she dropped this line, which is like, okay, that's a bit confusing.
yeah, because
I
like
mean,
the
I
thing is like there's nothing in the film that like indicate that that was the problem, and
yeah,
it wasn't necessary. for her to say it, but like I don't have a strong reaction to it because it really is just a one and done. Um, so like I don't like I don't know like it didn't throw me off of the film in any sense of the word. I can understand how it does for some people. It wasn't necessary, but like, does it change my perception? Not really.
I
Um,
mean, I'll just say this moment just makes it a bit question of like the Catwoman's motivation. Just like, oh, so it's white and rich. Just like, okay, what does white have anything to do with the situation? Which rich, I guess so. But yeah, I would say that this moment has something to do with her character that just like, okay, that takes a bit of a hit.
yeah.
I'll say
I don't really have too much. I don't have too much to really care about it. It's like it just it happened randomly. It's gone.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, I can still understand it affecting like having some point of view with regards to that. But for me, I
Yeah.
just didn't really have too much to really go off on to talk about
I'm
that.
not going to yeah, I'm not going to go political about it. It just whenever I mention those, it's just like, okay, does it affect the characters or not, or does it make sense? Which is just like what I would think about this angle. Because yeah, when I took a look at this angle, it's just like yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
Did come out of nowhere, yeah. What else? Yeah.
And yeah, oh yeah, woman pushes. Wait, that's afterwards. Sorry. Yeah, there's some intimidation. Yeah, there's some flirting.
Yeah, I think they have their kiss there as well.
Yeah, lovely kiss.
Yeah, yeah. Um, we also get some more about. Well, there's also the interaction with Gordon, Catwoman later, where they, you know, they she has Mitchell, the guy that Batman broke his nose, who works for the GCPD, but he's also like undercover as well. Not undercover, he's corrupted as well. Um, she's like beating the shit out of him. Um, that's uh, that's where she learns about the whole Falcone thing. So Mitchell has had her phone that had the message that Annika sent to her before she died, before she was like
Yeah,
strangled. Now
which
I could believe the phone being on from Annika's perspective. Like obviously we don't see this, so like it's hard to know what it physically looked like. But like in terms of the scene itself, I could believe Annika had like a phone on, like she was trying to talk to Selena, but then all of a sudden like she gets like interrupted and like she has it like hidden somewhere that will like listen into the conversation. Which I'm guessing
yeah,
like that's why her place was ransacked afterwards, because Selena does mention that her phone was missing, along with
yeah.
like her apartment getting like ransacked as well. So
I would I was I mean I would say that he just so happens to have her phone, which is not destroyed. It's just like yeah, he took her phone already, just broke it or something.
yeah, I still feel like it's possible to get the message from that. The only thing that um yeah, like you can still get the message, but the question is like in terms of the physical phone, how much of that it's pretty convenient that Mitchell had the phone himself, uh,
Yeah,
since it was pretty critical in terms of understanding that Falcone was the rat. Um, Now, I mean, I guess another thing that I could say is like, did this really have to happen for them to know that Falcone was the rat? It's like,
I mean they have to expose it using this phone call as well.
Yeah, because like they did like discover they did come up with the theory that Penguin was the rat because of the rat with wings line. Which if
Yeah,
they I guess like if they kept having a conversation, Falcone is like a falcon rat with wings. So it's like I feel like if they
yeah,
kept having that conversation, they didn't need to have phone call in that regard. Um
or
because I don't know,
Batman just
I
look
feel like
into
Batman is smart enough to eventually get to that conclusion, if that makes sense.
yeah, which is yeah, unfortunately another problem, which is like also fixable. We maybe have Batman do the hacking instead. Instead of just, oh yeah, here's a phone which is not destroyed or and he so happens to have it.
Yeah, yeah. That is something to consider as well. Um the what else?
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
then oh yeah, so Selina pushes the guy off the building.
which, Batman was trying to stop that from happening, which
Yeah, pretty
they do
intense.
save him from not dying, but that gets her to get away.
Which
As
is also a setup for Selina's character for later. That's neat. And also makes sense. Also, Batman saving innocent life, which is also in character for him.
yeah,
And not innocent, but it's like not no kill rule.
there's no kill rule. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So that part leads to the um
Like
Selena getting into
yeah.
the iceberg lounge. Um. Another great costume choice.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, it's a reference to year one Selena, so uh that was neat. Um yeah, so she goes to Falcone. Um she has a gun in her purse. She's trying to have I guess you'd say she's trying to get the sympathy card from Falcone. Bringing up
Yeah.
Annika, she's saying she's worried about her. She hasn't seen her in days. She knows that Falcone's a powerful man. He would be able to help her. So Falcone, you know, he's trying to console her without, giving up the information that she's dead, uh, which he doesn't know that she knows. Um, Eventually we get to the point where,
Man.
well, oh yeah,
Yeah.
the thing is, like,
Then
before that could happen, one of Falcone's guards says, like, look at the news, and Falcone,
oh
Falcone, at the same time, Falcone's like phone call is on the news of him strangling Annika. Uh, so that part was like, the timing is pretty convenient.
yeah.
Um,
And then Batman came in and
well,
not as Batman,
first,
just as
Selena like has a gun, like says like says like hi dad, and then he turns around confused, sees the gun, and like she's like asking, do you remember Maria Kyle, her mother? Um, then that's when Batman uh, turned off the
yeah.
light.
Just a moment before she just opened fires.
Yeah,
Just lucky
and that
timing.
is something to consider. Did the lights like affect her uh her aim of where Falcone was? So like that part is a bit questionable.
Oh, then there's a fight. Just yeah. Yeah, I don't remember the fight that much besides the yeah, yeah, the hallway scene.
The hallway scene,
Machine gun
yeah.
to his chest. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll say. Yeah, I mean it makes sense. everyone
Yeah,
just questioned, "Why don't you just shoot him in the face?" Which is like, it's a low light condition, there's it's just pure
the only
darkness.
light that's present is just the gunfire light.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's understandable in that regard. I mean, the thing is like the suit takes a lot of bullets in the film.
Yeah.
Um, I guess like at that point it's like we're getting to a well, obviously I'm not gonna say Mando levels because like I think Mando and the
Just
Mandalorian
re
has it's like it's at a point where like you literally can't do anything. Like in the book of Boba Fett, they drop a metal leg from a robot on his shin and it does nothing. Or like when a
just
robot punches his head into the wall of a ship in season 2 and it doesn't it makes a dent in the ship, but it doesn't do anything to.
which is I mean,
Yeah,
but
I'm not gonna say that
yeah,
Batman is at that level, but like I will say that the
yes,
suit is pretty OP.
which is which is fine as long as they stay consistent with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but,
I guess like something they could do later in the film, later in the franchise, if they want him to like implement more stealth into his system, but the only way he can really do that is to reduce the armor. Um,
yeah, which
that's
is
one
like
way
the
to do
Dark Knight.
it, or you can
Yeah,
have the ricochet effect where a bullet hits somebody, it almost killed them, it didn't kill them yet, which I guess would be contrived, but it at least gives like a reasoning for Batman to not be too reckless with the suit functions. Or you could say the material that made the suit is pretty low. Given that when we see the end of the film, his suit is like covered with armor, with bullet holes. So
yeah,
I'd assume he'd need a new suit. Um, but the material is just not enough. You could contrive it in that way, and I think it would work.
yeah. Which
Um,
is yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty cool. I'll say this. It's pretty cool.
yeah, and I do really like the suit though.
Yeah. Uh, Also pretty cool looking. And then there's the fight scene, Selena versus Falcone.
Yeah, so um, Falcone he gets around in the area. He's able to get behind her. He hits her in the head. Then he
Strangles her.
tries to strangle her with the pool stick. Then Batman arrives in time and hits him. Uh, Lena tries to
Scratch his face. Yeah, he scratches his face,
oh before
forehand.
Batman did that. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that
which
is a
is
reference to the Long Halloween.
yeah.
Falcone has a
I mean,
scratch on
it's
his
pretty cool.
face from Catwoman.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I'll say this. I'll say that I'll say that Selena is trying to figure out a way to beat him without the strength advantage that Falcone has
Yeah,
to get out of this situation. Yeah, I like this part.
yeah. I guess her legs is like something to consider maybe. I think I think Falcone was like straddling over the legs though for her to not be able to kick as much, which sounds pretty lucky to me, being on top of Zoe. But yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah. So that's just I think they do account for these little things like in terms of the action of what can and can't the cans and can'ts of what Selena can do in that moment, which gives Batman enough time to you know get him off of her. Then she's trying to shoot Falcone, but Batman is like uh you know you know not
Sorry.
do that.
Yeah.
Trust the system. He's gonna pay for his crimes that way, which eventually gets
Yeah.
her to calm down. Um, yeah, and then you have Batman escorting Falcone out of the iceberg lounge. Had
And then yeah, before that, just like, oh, my cops are yeah, my your cops work for me, and then Gordon just like all of them. Everyone here is to arrest you, which is like, yeah, pretty cool line.
Yeah.
It's like still something to consider. Just like, yeah, but will he actually escape from prison like this?
Yeah.
But to be honest,
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Before anything happens, the Penguin is like talking to Falcone, saying like how he was the rat and like how he like betrayed the business and stuff like that. Whereas like Falcone's like making fun of Penguin about like you always thought you're like a big man, but like you're just always gonna be like a pathetic penguin or something like that. I can't remember what he said. Which Penguin he
was a gun.
tries to pull a gun, but at this moment of time, Riddler shoots Falcone um
uh,
from his
which is
window, and the Penguin is saying like that wasn't me, that wasn't me. Uh, so
under the
yeah,
lights.
that's I guess like the first part is like Penguin doing that action is like it was a good moment for Riddler to shoot him. On the other hand, it is pretty convenient in terms of like the timing of when Penguin was decided to do that and the action that allowed him to make that decision to do that. I still feel like Riddler would shoot Falcone regardless because
Yeah,
his point was to bring Falcone into the light, which was
which
which was what he
but it,
wanted. Yeah.
I mean, I just say that the penguin stuff is for distraction for like the Riddler to run away for a bit soon, a bit longer. I'll say this.
Yeah.
It's like doesn't change a lot. And oh yeah, I'll prefer there's a bit more conflict between Penguin and Falcone beforehand for this payoff. Just like it not being set up too well.
That's true. Um, yeah, so something that I mentioned here is I mentioned before is like Penguin had more of a case for him to get arrested in this particular moment compared to the highway chase. Because he did try to attempt to kill in front of a bunch of cops who had a warrant to be there. Whereas like before, a lot of his actions were done without a warrant, so there's more leeway into this situation. Now, does that mean that Penguin can never get out of jail? No, I don't think so. Penguin does have money, and as Falcone said, like he does have a network of cops in under his payroll. So I'd assume there is a way for Penguin to get out of jail, but I think it would have been nice to at least see the booking process. But then he gets a bail. Uh, I think that would have at least cleared some comments with regards to how Penguin is outside and all fine by the end of the movie. Because we know he has a TV show coming out, but I still feel like there's a way to still address the he gets arrested, but he has a bail, and it still works out the same way. I don't know. That's just I guess like that's something that they could do to slightly fix that if they wanted to do it that way.
Uh, and
So
which is
yeah,
yeah, he should
now
be arrested. Yeah, arrested, and the cops ransack his apartment because the light under the something. Then the Riddler escape, which is yeah, sure, he has plenty of time to do so from through the fire, like the fire,
fire
yeah,
escape. Yeah,
yeah, fire escape, and then he heads to a restaurant, order a coffee, and and then and then the camera is in the back of his head until he's revealed his face to the cops, and it's Paul Duno.
all day now. Yeah. Yeah, and
Just like
his demeanor is definitely a lot different with the mask off.
which is
Where they when they put him in the
uh,
booking process, they find two IDs. One was Edward Nashton, another one was Paul something. It's like a reference to an alias that Riddler has in the comics. And then he
Yeah.
was asking which one is you, and then Riddler like there's like a laugh. It's like you tell me. Um, and then he sees Batman through the window, which gives him a smile. Uh,
Yeah, which is very well acted by Paul Dano. Yeah.
yeah,
Just like I mean, he doesn't look like intimidating at all when without a mask, but he acts like it, which is like yeah, the actor.
yeah, yeah. So he gets arrested. The cops and Batman are all in the room, in the apartment, which that's apparently been his base of operations for some time, and they even address like he's been here the whole time with a question mark. So I guess like that aspect is like something to consider. Like to search the area around Iceberg Lounge to see you know if the Riddler was nearby or anything like that. Which it's I guess the viewpoint on how that works is kind of like up to an interpretation.
I mean, even if Batman didn't fall off that, just like maybe the cops will fall off that. Yeah, I guess so. Which is I'm not sure.
Yeah,
They could absolutely analyze the camera angle they took the photo.
right, right. Yeah, that's true. So they look around. Um, they they find another card like about
Yeah,
well, they found a card in a bat cage where you know they talk about the next potential victim,
Bat-
which Batman believes to be him. Sees a bunch of like newspaper clippings about Bruce Wayne, um, and the orphanage and stuff like that, which makes him believe that Riddler believes that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
yes, and then just like the
Uh,
meeting to
yeah.
ransack the place.
Which one?
Yeah, the Riddler and Batman they meet. Is it the next moment, or is there anything more after he discovered the cage is a bat?
Uh, no, that is next. Um,
Yeah,
all right. They do say that he is Edward Nashton. He is a forensic scientist before this Riddler thing. So that's just and then he got incarcerated at Arkham State Hospital. So
mm,
that's that kind of stuff, that kind of world building is like given. Character descriptions are given before the
yeah.
Arkham meeting. And yeah, so would you like to start uh that meeting?
Which is okay. I mean, which is first off, it's both are well acted and it's like the Riddler. It's he keeps screaming Bruce Wayne, which is like okay. It's does he know Batman is Bruce or not? Which is like something interesting to know about. And
Yeah.
actually, the first time I saw it, just like, oh my god, for Riddler knows Batman is Bruce Wayne just from this few words.
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
it did turn out that like he was talking about Bruce Wayne multiple times, talking about his problems with Bruce Wayne and how he was like an orphan that had who got to live in the rich house. Doesn't really seem like an orphan when he, as an orphan, you know, they
yeah,
like kids die in the winter. Their fingers get chewed by rats. In the orphanage, stuff like that. And then the final line he says is that he was the only one that got away, which indicates to Batman that he didn't connect that Bruce and Batman are the same. Um,
Yeah.
so there's
Mm,
that, and then the other aspect that isn't incorporated here is um like Edward was saying to Batman, like, I know that I'm looking at the real you. Uh, that's always been a topic of discussion. Is Bruce Wayne the person or is Batman the person? Like, who is the mask? So
which
kind of
is
start up that topic.
which is like I'm not a comic book reader, so just like yeah, just give me a good story. I'm fine with it. So
Yeah.
Nolan
So
just I
go ahead.
mean, if you look at the Dark Knight trilogy, just like so, Nolan said that Bruce Wayne is a mask and the Batman is him, which is like oh sure, which is okay. I'll just take this direction and just go with it. Which result is pretty up and down, depending on which movie.
Yeah, definitely. Something that I found particularly interesting within this moment. Well, the thing is, like, it's Riddler's perspective of Batman and the Riddler. Like, what does he think about these two? Which leads us into something that kind of causes problems moving forward for the rest of the plot. Uh,
Yeah,
Now we had a bit of a discussion on this part, with like in terms of differing opinions on where the problem is,
yeah.
and that is Riddler saying that he thought that Batman was on his side. Now,
Just oh my
from
god.
a certain point of view, I can understand what he's thinking, like in terms of, you know, the Riddler is also inspiring an act of vengeance and a act of like justice on the corruption of Gotham, which Batman is doing that himself as well, which is not exactly the same in terms of how they go about giving the justice to like how they enforce justice among the the city of Gotham. So there's aspects of the conversation that I could see as a part of this does work, in terms of why Riddler believes that Batman would be on his side. Um,
Um,
there's certain
yeah,
aspects of that, given like, yes, he's with the cops, but
yeah,
he's not every cop likes him, and stuff like that.
yeah.
And then Batman will
Even
be at those crime scenes here and there.
which
There's also like moments in the script as well, like when Batman is like talking about like the people that were killed, like Coulson, the commissioner, they were both corrupt. They were, dealt with greed, and they were dealt with like temptations where, you know, Gordon, points out like it makes it seem like they had it coming. So there are aspects in there where I can believe that to be the case. Now the problem that comes out of this is the next part of Riddler's plan, which is the flood.
oh my god. I mean, even that
Uh,
was like even beforehand was like I'm pretty iffy about what he's saying, which is like I don't believe it. I mean, just because it kills criminal, just like doesn't mean he will agree with you flooding the entire city, which is like a step too far. I'll say this,
yeah, yeah,
and especially his reasoning to arresting you is because of murder. And are you supposed to believe that he will just agree with you drowning a bunch of people? Yeah,
right,
when he's so against you murdering a person, which is actually a criminal. It's not even an innocent person.
yeah, and like the other
Yeah,
part is like, it's like he was asking like about like all the things that was he able to stop, what's gonna happen next, um, which this is after like he's saying like he Batman is like going on a tirade, is saying like, we're nothing alike. You're like the scum of uh the lowest of the low, that kind of thing. Like there's nothing in common. He's just a psychopath, basically. Which gets Riddler to give a little, no,
and
no, no, it's not supposed to
uh,
happen that way. people make fun of that. Which I don't have a problem with that. Obviously, this is like the most bizarre the Riddler went in terms of his acting, um,
Yeah.
as well as the Ave Maria when he was singing that, and Batman is like punching the glass, saying like, "What have you done?" Uh, so yeah, but before that happened, he was saying like there's like everything was in the room, all the pieces were there. I'm surprised you didn't catch that. You're probably not as smart as I thought you were.
Oh my, which
Which
is oh, oh my god. So did he expect it for him to just notice this already? Well, there's a bunch of cops around, which I'm not sure can they stop him, but they can potentially stop it before it happens.
Yeah, so there are 7 car bombs along the seawall of Gotham, and now I would question the car bombs like legitimacy. My only thing about that is like he did have a bunch of followers that helped him in terms of how to place the car bombs and how to like get them into the areas. And a seawall is pretty big, so I could understand that from that point of view. Uh Now, let's say that they do find the wall earlier. I don't think it I don't think they would be able to stop all the bombs from exploding. Like saying if we discover a lot of this seems to be on a timer, and a lot of this is, obviously this is done after Riddler is incarcerated into prison. Um so on that aspect, like there is like enough for me to believe that his followers would have some kind of like they know what to do when Riddler gets arrested. They know how to carry the plan. They know what to do. They know how to like they know what they're supposed to be doing when the Riddler's gone. So I could believe that the bomb would still go off eventually. Now, if we change it up for like like they discover the plan beforehand, I still feel like they'd be able to stop a few bombs from exploding, but I don't think they would be able to stop all 7 bombs from exploding, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, even that, just like, why run the risk?
Yeah.
I was still question what,
I think
which
my
is like,
my other
yeah,
thing is
that's
like if they did do that and he successfully stopped 7 bombs from exploding, I'd actually get pretty that'd be pretty insane to me. Um as it is a seawall. There's no way they can do that 7 times in the amount of time that the explosion happens. I wouldn't believe it. Um. Also, I would imagine the explosions would have riddles to solve as well if he were to
yeah,
try and individually stop them. So I see that as a
yeah,
potential thing happening as well, if that was the case.
yeah,
That's my
but
opinion on the whole bombing situation. Um,
yeah.
I feel like
I'll just say,
they would be able to stop a few of them, but I don't think they'd be able to stop all of them if this plan was
even
discovered earlier.
yeah, yeah, which is even if it, I mean, I would just ask why run the risk, which is like, yeah, it's like, don't risk it. It,
Yeah, and
it really,
now he gives a reasoning as to why this flood is happening. It's not a very strong reasoning though. Like, so his logic is like,
yeah,
so he was dealing with the corruption of Gotham. He has talked about Gotham being a cesspool in it of itself. Um, so he's just his logic is like, when the mayor's campaign happens, you'll have like the people of the upper class of Gotham being in the areas, to support the campaign, to make them look good, do all these little things. Which I mean,
um,
I can understand that point of view. The problem with that perspective is not every rich person is going to be there. Some people they're just lazy. Some people they just don't care about politics. so it's like it's not really a big deal for them to be there. I could believe some of them being there, the upper class, but I'm not going to believe everybody is going to be
Yeah.
in Gotham at the time. They might still be in their homes that are highly elevated. They'll be fine from the flood.
Mm.
So
Yeah, which is
yeah, it's like there is a
and bad.
reasoning. It's not a very strong reasoning, is what I'll say. As in, like,
Which
why the
is,
flood is happening.
and if you compare to like the Joker, just like yeah, I mean he also used bombing plans, but at the same time he just like he has a strong reason because the agent of chaos and he wants the city to be as corrupt as him. He set up the bombs for Rachel and Harvey because he want to corrupt like Harvey to just bring the and just bring it as low as his position. Why does he want to bomb both votes? Because he wants either side to be as corrupt as him. So he just plants it and just like on a timer, you guys just decide who to blow up, which is like also a fine enough reasoning for Joker's character. Just at this point, just like yeah, Joker is the stronger villain. When beforehand, just like yeah, just better. Yeah, there's a clear difference.
Yeah.
Just say this.
Yeah, so another thing that like another thing of thing to mention is like, is like Batman was he went back to the apartment to check again. Then he picks up the murder weapon, which Martinez is there, and he tells him that his dad or his grandfather, I think, was like a carpenter, which he was explaining that the tool that he was holding is for like tucking carpets in. Now, I don't think so. Like, so some people say that's like drive that Martinez is there. Doesn't really change anything, to be honest. It's like even if Batman didn't know what that material was, or if he did know what it was, it still doesn't really stop the bombing from happening. Given the time
Yeah,
frame, because he does watch the stream that Riddler posted. Uh, at that moment in time, he does bring the camera towards the map of all the bomb locations. He does do that in the video, so I would assume like if Batman was just there by himself, he sees the video. Yeah, he then looks at the tool again and then assumes the carpet tucker. I don't think it changes
yeah,
anything that
which is
Martinez being there makes a difference. So I don't think it's a
I think the
fair.
biggest issue is just like yeah. I think my most issue is just it's just under a carpet, which anyone who investigate the house could just flip it over.
Yeah, the thing is like it's tucked into the hardwood. I think that's the thing though. It's not like one of those where you have to
Yeah, which is
pull.
like
Not one of those where you have to pull it out. Um,
which
which
is
yeah,
which is like anyone would be suspicious if someone actually pulled the carpets. I'll say this. If someone just tuck it in. Uh,
yeah. So that's like I guess
yeah.
like that's kind of the thoughts on this moment, which the bombings happen. The flood starts coming in. Riddler talks about how
Yeah.
his followers are going to be there at the campaign. People are going to be excited that the mayor won. All of a sudden, they'll get the breaking news that the flood is happening. Fear. There's a lot of aspects in here that it does happen the way that Riddler says. Um, the next
Is
part, we're almost at the end. Um,
then okay, so Selena go to the crime scene of flood. I mean, to be honest, there's
so she said she was trying to get out of
uh
there. Like she was trying to get out of Gotham, but then said like they can't evacuate people because there's like too much chaos happening in the city. Um,
which is I mean, she is still in a close enough distance inside the what's it called again? The campaign. Just like oh god, it's like out of all places you can go, you so happens to be there, and it's not like you can just like arrive there on time because there's an entire flood happening and a lot of people and traffic,
yeah,
which is That's
Um.
set up for Catwoman to be here.
So yeah, that's So the Riddler goons, um, they all have a bunch of big guns. At the top of the auditorium, I think, or like I think it's like
Yeah,
stadium. Um.
just oh my god, those goons. So much to talk about those.
So if the point was to assassinate the mayor, you don't need to have that many
Mayor.
people there. You could just have the one person, and that's fine. If they're
Yeah,
supposed to kill
and
people in general, then I don't see why they were waiting so long until Batman arrived. So that's like a few things that I have in terms of the point. Then the other question
and
is like, what is the point um of the
the
Riddler goons?
climax.
When like if the point is to kill the mayor, then you don't need like 15 people to be there to kill one person.
It's,
It's not necessary.
and and also their weapons of choice is a shotgun, a machine gun, and a pistol. And even though the only weapon that is supposed to be useful here is a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
I mean, the best guess of logic is that you don't want Batman to be here to prevent it, but at the same time, Riddler. I mean, the Paul Dano, yeah, the Riddler specifically said that he thought the Batman is on his side. Just like, wait, why do you bring 15 people again?
Yeah, then that logic would be like to kill the people in the auditorium, but like that other thing is like, but like which people is the question, and then why is the other question. So
Yeah.
like there's a few things there that don't really add up. The next part is like Batman blowing up the ceiling and
Oh no, beforehand. If there's one more beforehand, they attempt to snipe the mayor, and he misses so hard.
oh she hit her in the chest
Yeah, I mean on the shoulder,
or
and
on the shoulder.
he's fine after. Yeah, he's fine afterwards. It's just like so she just looked up there and noticed it. I don't know how did she notice a lot of people in the shadows above him when there's when there's panic below her, which is like yeah, she just suddenly looks up. Have the timing to avoid it, I guess. But she didn't even react beforehand. So he just oh the Riddler goon just snipers just has just poor aiming.
Um,
Even though you just yeah.
so in terms of like, let's say this was better written, there's still not enough like I didn't. There's nothing to really care about for this mayor. Like they didn't. She didn't really have too much of a character. She says she's trying to do good for the city, but we don't really know
Yeah.
anything about what that means. And like a fake politician could say the same thing and still be a bad guy because it's Gotham City after all. In terms of corruption and all that. So like saying this was better written, there's still not enough like character for her. So like when she gets shot, I don't really care if she got shot. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Which
this
I'm
which
wondering, like, should they have like taken the time to fix something out
uh,
to allow her to have some care. So like, if she does get shot, you feel some kind of sympathy for that. Which I mean, obviously, you should feel sympathy if someone gets shot. Um,
it's like
in a moral perspective, but like in terms of a narrative perspective, there wasn't really enough of her character for some type of impact if she shot. Since
yeah, but even that, just like I just prefer you just get shot. I just get shot or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. Just like yeah, that's plot armor for her, which is like which to be fair, she just have so little screen time for us to care about her. Impact the story.
yeah, and So that's where Batman explodes the roof. He did not
All of
need to
them.
explode all of them. I mean, it's very cool visually. It is very
Yeah,
cool visually. I will say that.
yeah,
Um,
and
but there's a lot of people under there, um, innocent people under there. It's just not a smart
yeah,
idea to do that.
and it takes him time to just blow up all of them at once, even though you just set one bomb under one glass, which is even faster.
Yeah, and a lot more safe in that regard. Obviously,
Yeah.
the more practical decision is to sneak up with stealth. But I will also say that the glass exploding does give like a moment of shock that gives him a window, a window of opportunity to take advantage of the situation. But on the other hand, it is a pretty risky thing that you could hit other people that's underneath the glass, especially since it's very
Yeah.
high up ground. That's not safe. So that's that. Action. Um,
Oh boy.
those big
Oh,
guns are just not very practical for fighting Batman, which is in his advantage because
but
but like
they all decide to run up to him and just shoot him.
yeah. Um,
Even even more absurd is like the guy just decide to lift his machine gun over his head already. Not to his head, over his head. A machine gun. Do you even do this? It, it's pretty dumb. And snipers, even though it's you're supposed to snipe person, just like yeah, let's close the distance to just shoot him closer. Um, yeah, no, it's dumb.
yeah. Uh, Batman takes a shotgun to the chest at one point. He starts blacking out. Another Riddler goon is up there. He has to reload his gun. He's taking time to shoot him. They kind of do the thing where he's like nervous about this, which I mean it's
You have
possible,
battery.
but like I can't imagine that anyone would like that. A very convenient
Yeah,
nervous man.
yeah, which is yeah, just even that, just like I won't even take that long to just pull a trigger.
Yeah, and Selena lands on him to get him out of the way. Uh,
How did she get that one? Yeah, which is yeah, I love that. I mean, lucky guy. Which is convenient timing, up at that
yeah.
position.
I mean, like the
And
way
then
the time it was taking for him to do that, Batman could like point the gun like with his arm like to push it in another direction and he'd be fine.
yeah,
Um,
or yeah, just grab or just
even
like
even if it wasn't like a reload, I still think he had enough time to push it in another direction.
yeah,
And be fine. But
and
obviously he
also
was
his
blacking out
yeah.
too. Um,
I mean,
so yeah,
yeah,
she does like help Batman get up. Uh, she gets on top of Batman as well.
and then and then the kiss, which is yeah, lovely kiss. I love that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
he's blacking out at that moment, so he can't really but then
and
the other guy
yeah,
the other guy he
the just attacks
drags her.
Selena. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
so
is oh my yeah, it was, oh my god, this moment,
so the
which
gun
okay,
so his gun is gone. He does have a knife,
but
but the
just
thing
pull
is
it
like
out.
he doesn't stab her in the back with the knife.
Yeah,
Um
even that, why even if you don't pull a knife, just why do you pull her? Just kick her off the bridge or something, which is just right next to you. Or just it's just right next to her, just kick her off there. You can just drag her for a distance.
yeah. Yeah. It's just too hot to die, though. Understandable. Um.
And then
So yeah, there's that. Batman. He's trying to get up, but like to help her out, but he's blacking out too much. Due to the shotgun blast. Out of desperation, he pulls out a green vial, which apparently is not venom, or or what Bane uses. It's just adrenaline.
which
Uh,
is not set up at all.
some
It's an
setup.
issue.
Yeah. I mean, in some regard, like I'd be fine if it was venom, because then because like you can see his effects, like how it immediately like gets him up. He he basically like tackles the guy, then he brutally punches the
Yeah,
guy in the face multiple times until Gordon had to stop him, calm him down, uh,
which
from
is
the boost.
yeah,
Yeah. Um.
yeah, which is which you can set it up for like an Alfred or Bruce scene, which Alfred just gave him this material to just like just in case your help, just in case, and this will happen. But even though it has deterioration effects, but
Yeah,
it's like
so
it's in
the
last
thing is, like,
resorts. And
I took it as Venom because like it would explain why he doesn't want to do it frequently because Venom has like an addictive trait
yeah,
to it that allows people that makes people to try to take it more and more because they like the power, but it makes them go like insane with the amount of like
yeah,
which is a reference to a moment where Batman takes a lot of venom to the point where he can't function without it. So what he would do is he would force himself in the Batcave and not go
oh,
outside for a month or something like that, and um, so that way he can get it out of his system. So there's aspects of that
yeah,
there, but it isn't venom though, so it kind of changes up
yeah.
his
It's,
perspective. I mean, then again,
it's adrenaline.
taking a
Yeah,
lot of adrenaline is not a good idea either, because
yeah,
there would be addictive properties in doing that, which isn't a healthy thing to do.
yeah.
So there, it could still work the same way. Because like, yeah, I would not expect someone to spam adrenaline multiple times. Like that's not a safe thing to do.
Yeah.
So it could
And it's
still
just never.
work, but it's
Yeah,
just pretty convenient. But on the other
and
hand,
it's
it is year two. Um,
yeah,
so we don't know what happened in year one to really comment on that part. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
yeah. But it's still better to show it beforehand. Just like okay, for this payoff to work, just like have more emotional punch, I guess.
Yeah. Then the next moment happens. We're getting close to the end. Where uh, where they pull off the mask of the guy with the Riddler
Yeah,
mask. It's
after like is it? I don't know that he just like intentionally stopped it himself or just Gordon just told him to stop, which I forgot about. Which is
uh
it either?
Gordon gets him to stop.
Yeah, which is again I don't know if he didn't arrive on time, just like he might actually kill the person. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I mean, again, it's also adrenaline at the same time. I can't really fault a particular moment. But Batman did take care of like the rest of the goons. That gave Gordon the window to come up and try to help, because he was trying to get
yeah.
up there anyways beforehand. So
This is better setup than Catwoman. Just yeah, I'll say
yeah,
this.
it is better set up than. But Catwoman was on top of two people. So I'm okay with.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So yeah, the guy with the Riddler mask, he was, they were at Gordon asked him like, "Who are you?" And then he says, "I'm Vengeance," which is back to that theme I mentioned earlier. Like, Batman is inspiring people, but not in the way that he was hoping. Some people they take his vengeance thing too seriously, which is like something that he gets from Riddler. He gets from this Riddler goon. So I thought that was an interesting thing to implement before the final act, or I guess like the culminating scene that happens, which we'll get to in a bit.
Should- Yeah,
Um, so yeah, that leads to the a wire from the building, like it broke, um,
just
and
I don't know when did it broke in time. Maybe just like a gun just accidentally shot it. I guess I'm not sure.
yeah,
Just it
which
just broke like this moment in battle, which can be if it. I don't remember if it's like just just if it's just like oh it's just lucky that it broke it right here. Just like oh my god. Now that is lucky timing. It didn't broke beforehand.
yeah, so yeah, the wire was going towards the water that from the flood, and there were still people in there. So I like how Batman immediately does things. Uh, like he doesn't take a second thought, and he just immediately does like he immediately once he see the wire goes down, he immediately jumps after it and tries to cut it, which is good so that the people in the
Yeah,
water doesn't die from the electricity. Um,
but yeah, but I think Batman should be like injured at least when he just cut the wire to just there's electricity inside the wire.
yeah, I mean, because he does fall into water, so that does kind of like lowers the impact. At the same time, um, and there was a weird discussion about he should have cut the thing. So I guess that was another thing to note mention. The symbol on his chest is like a tactical knife. It's not really like a not it's not a batarang. It's he takes it off and it's used as like a little knife. So he uses that to cut the wire. But yeah,
Yeah,
the discussion
we
was like go ahead.
we actually never seen Batman throw a battery in the entire movie.
Yeah,
I actually
he
think
just
about
uses the
it.
grapples. Um so he has kind of like a cool thing on his gauntlet, like he like it's like a collapsible thing, like he can like he I wouldn't say it's like Spider-Man, like how he shoots a web. But it's like the grapple like comes out of his wrist into the palm of his hand. Then he
Which is
fires like
yeah,
a little like so he has like these little arrows on his gauntlet. Those things like they're like kind of like he,
say Widow's Kiss, like in not in
they're
like in the Black Widow's Kiss.
yeah,
Like that's the comparison I would say.
they're like pins. Like he can like use them to use them as a grapple. And then he can like get a new one by pulling another one off his wrist and grapple. So I thought that was pretty cool how they implemented that. It's all practical too. Like I saw the behind the scenes about that the other day. It was pretty cool. Yeah, so that was like just a little bit of the gadgets that he has in the film. Um, yeah. So there was like a discussion about like he should have cut the wire. So like he was holding onto the wire. People were saying like he should have cut below him and not above him. But the thing is like if he cut the wire below him, he'll get the wire that had the electricity go into the water and won't kill anybody in the water. But the thing is like he'd still be if he cut below his hand, he would be holding onto the wire. That means all the electricity will go into his body, which that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
So if he cuts the wire above him, the electricity will fall, and it won't hit him either. So like I don't know. I don't think people understand the concept of electricity.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't remember that much about that scene. So it's just like yeah, I can't comment.
Yeah, but yeah, I do like how immediate like Batman's decision making when it comes to saving lives is. He once he sees the wire jumps, he jumps himself, goes to cut it, so that he doesn't. Now, another thing that I guess people were talking about is like they kind of frame it like he's about to die. I don't think that was really the case. I think people probably got the perspective because of like they did like dim the music down to make it seem like he's dying. But I don't really get it that way because like they didn't. It's not like slow mo. It's like um. I guess I don't know how to explain it, but like I never had the perspective that he was going to die from this moment. I don't know if you have had that kind of opinion.
I mean, I don't really remember about it. Just like, yeah, maybe there's like something dramatic. I just think they just make it too dramatic
Maybe.
that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, and Batman he gets out of the water. He lights a torch. Um uh
And he's
and
gets
like he
everyone to safety.
gets to the people. Some of the people are scared to like he's like extending a hand try to grab like people to get help them get to safety. Some of them are too scared to like to grab it, but like eventually the little boy, the mayor's son, does grab the hand, and then eventually
Really.
more and more people start to do that as well. And yeah, I will say before we get to the final part, I in terms of the action, it was pretty not there.
It's not there.
I don't think it's like completely unfixable, in terms of what they
Yeah,
did, but like I think like a lot of it came down to like it didn't have to happen this way. You could
yeah,
still do a similar thing, but you can change it to make it make.
yeah. I mean, I just
I think
think,
that's the best way to summarize it.
yeah, I mean, I just think that is like the direction. Just like I want this to look cool, so just like yeah, let's make it look cool, and just like yeah, I forgot the repercussions about it. Blowing up the glass, yeah, it looks a lot. It looks so cool blowing up all of them. It's just like wait, do you thought of what's the issue of that? Which is like yeah, it's just for looking cool.
Yeah, and for me, like everything from the wire cut onwards, I really love. Um, like getting the people to safety. Um, I just the whole monologue about like something that he got wrong about being when in his quest of being Batman is like he doesn't have to be a symbol of vengeance. He's supposed to be a symbol of hope. That's what Gotham needs now. Um, yeah, like but like before that, they do mention that the National Guard is on their way to deal with the flood in Gotham. The what do you call it? Martial law is put into effect. He also mentions that like this would be like the opportunity that criminals would be able to come in and take over for after Falcone is gone, which they show a shot of Penguin. Uh, as he says that line.
Yeah,
Um,
which is set up for the show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that's all fine. I
Yeah,
I like that they didn't. I like how they didn't cut away and just show that the city is fine like afterwards because it's a flood. There's no way you can expect me to believe that in like 3 months we're all fine now.
yeah,
Um, so I'm pretty good that that happened. Um, yeah, and my favorite moment is when Batman is like holding the woman as she's getting up on the helicopter transport, and like she grabs his shoulder, and then Batman looks at the hand. He looks back at her, gives her a smile and a nod, and then it gets her to calm down before she goes up to the helicopter, and then how he's like he continues to hold her hand until he can't reach anymore. I really love that scene, and he doesn't
yeah.
say a word. in this moment. I think Pattinson does a really good job, which we will talk about some performances after we finish up the plot. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and next up
and
we have
then
yeah.
I mean, it's a next up is like Batman and Catwoman final talk. The final talks
There was
of
also
Batman and Catwoman.
the Riddler
Yeah.
and Joker talking as
Oh
well.
yeah, that one. Which is, to be honest, that's just future setup
It's
for
just set
Easter egg.
up, but like Matt Reeves has said, the Joker's not someone that he's going to be doing
Oh,
um
oh,
in the
oh,
sequel.
oh, good. Oh, good, because I don't, I don't want to just see the Joker again. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe bring in like Poison Ivy or White Rabbit or something.
Yes, absolutely. Um, yeah, and we'll get to some of what his perspectives are. Yeah, so that's I mean the Joker scene. It,
Just
it's nothing really to go
yeah,
off of. It's clearly just set up for something.
yeah, which and if you don't have like third party sources, like if you don't know who Joker is, just like, oh, this is just some kind of lunatic. I was just like, yeah, okay, that's kind of it. I only get it because I watched The Dark Knight and Suicide Squad, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and then I guess I liked his riddle. It's like he says like when you lose one of them, yeah, when you have less of them, one is worth more, which is a friend. I like the riddle in that regard. Um,
yeah. And
yeah.
then
So then,
also, yeah, there's a deleted scene. Yeah, the deleted scene of who is the person he's talking to.
yeah, yeah. There are varying perspectives on the scene itself.
Yeah,
My big thing is like I just don't like the design of the Joker. Um, as for like the voice, the acting, I think, and the laugh, I think he does I think Barry Keoghan does a pretty good job. I guess like
I mean,
Heath Ledger's impersonation is valid. I guess.
I
Um,
don't know. I mean, I just don't feel the way that's the Joker. I mean, I'm not sure. I just go off like movie stuff I saw. I'm not comic book guy.
yeah.
And then
Um,
I mean, of course, you need third party source. You know, oh, oh my God, this is a Joker, or else Batman just visits a guy who just knows a lot about everything.
yeah. It's a reference to the Long Halloween. Batman visits Calendar Man
Yeah,
in Arkham. So I understand what it
except
was for. I understand why it was deleted. It just doesn't really fit in the story. Also,
and it
Joker. They have Joker say the theme of the film about Batman vengeance and Riddler, and how he's trying to not associate himself with the Riddler the way that the Riddler sees himself. So I
yeah,
understand why it was
and
cut. I'm fine with seeing the scene itself. I wonder when it would have fit into the movie, but like, I'm okay with it being
yeah,
deleted.
I don't think so as well because I mean, I saw it and didn't have that impact, but it's just like, yeah, I get it. You need to know who the Joker is beforehand, or else you just like, oh yeah, it's just some guy Batman just visit and just knows everything. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, the other problem is like year one or year two, so there's that. I do get something from a world building perspective though, with how how this is working out. So yeah, as you mentioned before, Batman and Catwoman have one more scene together. She wants to go to Bloodhaven, which is where Nightwing operates the comics. Um,
Yeah,
you know, she's saying that her and Batman should get out of this place. All this trouble there, but then Selena's saying like you're already taken for essentially. Gotham is the only place for Batman. Um, and then they leave their separate ways, and that's how the film ends.
yeah. Fast and Furious at the end.
Yeah. Now that you said that, now I see that. Um, Yeah, so that's the Batman and his plot in its entirety. That almost been 3 hours.
Yeah, which is the same length as the film.
Yeah, yeah.
So
We can talk about a bit of the performances, like acting wise.
in say that everyone does a good job acting wise, especially for Robert Pattinson and Paul Dano.
Yeah,
The best.
yeah. I've made it clear in my videos that the Twilight thing for Pattinson is just not doesn't
Yeah,
apply. It shouldn't
yeah,
apply to anyone's discussion on his acting ability, especially since he
yeah.
doesn't like the movies himself.
Yeah,
Um,
no one hates Twilight more than him actually.
yeah, and the films were like over a decade ago, so there really is no reason to bring up that when talking
It's
about his credibility as an actor. I've talked about it
just
plenty of times. My subscribers should
it
know
was
what I feel
just
about
the same, just the same as any other actor inside that film, like Kristen Stewart, which yeah, like go see Spencer. She's amazing in that film.
Fantastic. Yeah, yeah, and I gotta say he's my favorite Batman in regards to like he just does like a lot of things that I want out of Batman. I mean, in terms of he doesn't do a lot of fighting in the film compared to other Batman films, but I still think his fighting is like competent enough for me to, for me to be fine with him. My thing is like my thing about Batman is I feel like the detective aspect. It's just we barely see it in the movies. If we do, it's like probably one scene, 1 to 2 max. So I'm glad that like this half of the character of where he is called the world's greatest detective. Glad that's part of the story. I think like he just does a lot of things that I want out of Batman. His voice is pretty good. Um, his eye acting like is just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Um, there's like scenes like he doesn't say a word. But you can see like everything through the body language and the eye movements and all that. So
yeah.
I
I'll say he's
I've never been like too big of a guy on the white eyes. For Batman. I know like a lot of people want that after Deadpool did them. But yeah, it's just I feel like a lot of the acting gets taken away if the eyes are gone. Um, like even for like just for Pattinson himself, I feel like a lot of his benefits coming from facial reactions and his eye reactions also. That's at least
yeah,
my point of view on the subject. You were saying?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll say that yeah. I think he's the best Batman actor of like all of the actors. I recently saw like Christian Bale's performance like in Dark Knight, rewatching it, and yeah, Robert Pattinson did a better job than him.
Yeah.
And then
Bruce Wayne.
there's
Bruce Wayne is
and there's
different.
there's Ben Affleck, which is like yeah, he's pretty good as an old Batman, which is you know pretty edgy and stuff. Still, I still prefer Robert Pattinson's.
Yeah, and his Bruce Wayne, I don't have a problem with what they went for. Like so they went with more of the recluse billionaire, and not really the playboy. Which I mean,
Sure.
I don't really see the problem with that because like the way Batman acts and the way Bruce Wayne acts in the movie is still pretty different. Like Bruce doesn't want to talk to people, whereas like Batman, he can get into a conversation if you like bring it up. But he's a lot more different in how he walks, how he talks, and how he interacts. So like I don't see it like as a I don't see it as a big problem that he doesn't act like a playboy.
Which yeah,
Like Pattinson, not like Bale.
yeah.
And
I
plus,
mean,
I feel
even
like that is not really a fair comparison to compare that. I feel like it works in the movie the way that it does.
Yeah, that's just expectation at this point. I just don't care about source materials and stuff. Which no disrespect. Which I absolutely respect the source material people brings up. Which I'm actually interested to listen. Which I'm just saying that I just don't care about it in this movie bringing it up. You're
Yeah,
just when you're just dissecting the movie as a whole, objectively.
yeah, and I feel like in the film, I feel like the ending of the film kind of gives that kind of perspective that it could happen in the next one. Which
To be honest,
I know like some people
yeah,
feel like it's like the MCU Spider-Man, like it took 3 films to say his origins. I know like that kind of mentality exists, but it's not really the same thing in my opinion, because like it's just Bruce Wayne and how you want him to as Bruce Wayne,
yeah,
which I don't really think it applies. I think like a lot of the recluseness helps his character because like, well, he is a billionaire kid who got a bunch of money after his parents died. I don't see how
which
his personality would change,
I
especially
mean,
since
he would.
everybody knows the story of Bruce Wayne. So I
I
I, I
mean,
don't I don't really see the problem with that.
maybe if they make a sequel about it, maybe they might have a change in personality, but it's like I don't see him as a playboy even in the sequel. I'll just say this.
I mean, just let
Yes.
him let him have that Batmobile scene with Catwoman. That's the only thing that's disappointing, to be honest. That
Yeah,
it's not in the movie.
that's sad.
But yeah, it definitely I do see like this could definitely introduce a Robin, for this Batman. Given the ending, I would really like to see
Oh,
Robin in the sequel
yeah, and
or in some point
yeah,
of the franchise.
yeah. I don't see Catwoman again.
Oh yeah, of course. Let's bring in some of the Poison Ivies. The I don't know if I think Harley would work now at
Yeah,
this time. Talia,
yeah. Nisa.
yes, yeah. So Reeves did talk about that, like in terms of a sequel, he would like to do Mister Freeze, Hush, Court of Owls. So he has an idea of where to go for the next one. I'm definitely interested in this universe. I think it's overall I really like the movie. I think there are some problems in terms of like plot armor or like contrivances. Um, I mean a lot of it comes down to like good characters, which kind of helps my perspective of the film.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like a lot of the problems that are in the film could be fixed easily if they had another draft. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I
Mm,
still I still can't wait for uh
yeah, there's a few
more of the universe.
coincidence. Yeah, I mean, there's like the Riddler's planning leads another draft, which is yeah, even beforehand, which is like yeah, you that's kind of lucky. And then
Yeah,
then the contrivances, just dramatic effect contrivances, which yeah, can tell. Plot armor to look cool. Yeah, you just make it to look cool.
yeah, and
Just yeah,
go ahead.
and yeah, I mean, I do like the movie. Don't get me wrong, but just like when you compare the plots and I compare it to like The Dark Knight, which I watched it recently, rewatch it. I just like, yeah, The Dark Knight has a better plot than the Batman, which I don't know does anyone agree with me. This
Um,
Joker's plan, yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, my thoughts on the Dark Knight, I made it clear before. My thing is like I feel like Batman being a hindrance in the movie, like it doesn't like I've always said like the Dark Knight is not impossible to beat, like some people have said. And my big reasoning for that is because Batman himself is not up there. And he's fine. He's fine in the movie. I'm not saying he's bad. But like
yeah,
but Batman is like the protagonist of the story. And he's not and obviously like Heath Ledger did a fantastic job. Rest in peace to Heath Ledger. But like But like with the when you have the flaw being that Batman is just not up there in terms of a discussion, like even like the Two Face, it's more of a discussion. I just feel
And
like
yeah,
I feel
even
like there is room to really surpass that if you that right,
yeah,
which is
I mean even
which has always been my perspective on the Dark Knight when it's compared to like a lot of other superhero movies.
I mean, there's also like some aspect just like I mean the Dark Knight plot isn't perfect, which the Joker's plans just like sometimes just like okay that's kind of lucky. I mean not as lucky as like the Riddler, which is like absurd in the final acts. Yeah, I mean even that just like yeah you can still top his plan if the his entire plan is more coherent than the Joker. Just like yeah you can do it. And yeah also and yeah kind of it's I mean so of course, like I think Joker is better than Riddler, but I think the Bruce Wayne in the Batman is better than Bruce Wayne in Dark Knight, which is easy
Oh,
to
really?
say.
Interesting.
The Batman Bruce Wayne is better than the Dark Knight Bruce Wayne. Easy.
I have not heard that take before.
Yeah.
I am actually a bit surprised. Because yeah, I haven't heard that. Yeah, I don't like for me. I don't go too much into that comparison because like they're both doing two different things. Um, and I can see like why people like that version of Bruce Wayne being more flamboyant, more like aggressive. You know, he comes in to a party. He has four dates with him. I mean, I can understand the appeal. Um, but yeah, like the point of what they're trying to do is two different things, and I'm totally fine with that. It's just an interpretation. Uh, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just
that's
character
just kind of like
motivation.
a that's just something that I thought about. The performance for the Batman.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and also Gotham City. Uh,
yeah,
it's really good. Uh,
it looks amazing.
it's yeah the same cinematographer did Dune as well. Who
That's
just won an
cool.
Oscar for that, right?
Mm, explains.
Yeah, Greg Fraser, I think his name. It was really well done, and the music, by Michael Giacchino, love it as well.
Good
Um,
music.
yeah. So yeah, any final thoughts about the film? What would you like to
Oh,
see in the next one? Uh,
I mean, I would like to see Batman going through another arc of like, what's the meaning of being hopeful instead of just revenge? Just
yeah,
inspired to
and
be something more.
I definitely see Robin playing a factor into that. If they did that, it could help that. Or if they,
Yeah, I mean, I make a rating of like the movies I saw in 2022, the 2022 movies. It's just like more I just listed all out. Just yeah, the Batman is no longer in like top three or not even top five. It drops in number six already.
yeah,
That's unfortunate fact. I mean, I saw 19 of them by the way in 2022.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess my final thoughts are: I really like the movie. Definite problems exist. The characters definitely help carry the film. Um, I really like the ending message with the symbol of hope. It's a reference to Batman Ego. It's a very good story. I would recommend that as a read. Um, I will watch the Penguin show. I am interested in this
Yeah,
universe. I will watch
I
the
say.
Gotham City Police Department show as well.
Same as well.
Yeah, and with the apparent uh, news that they said Arkham would have a focus in that series, so that's pretty interesting to
Uh,
me.
bring in some like other Batman characters like Renee Montoya or something.
Yeah, Harvey Bullock as well. Um, yeah, I'm definitely interested in this universe. I've made like 4 fan cast videos dedicated to the universe, so you guys can already tell that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so thanks for watching the video, and thank you Unity for participating in this 3 hour video
Yeah.
with me.
Oh, welcome.
Is there anything you'd like to talk about what you're doing next on your channel?
Oh, oh, my channel it's I almost finished my edit of the Hawkeye episode 1 review, which yeah, I'm doing a 6 part of. It's gonna be long. Even just episode 1 already.
Definitely,
I have
definitely.
a lot to talk about.
Lots to talk about. Um, but be sure to subscribe to Unity Reviews and Analysis at I will have that in the description down below. And if you like reviews and opinions on movies, comics, TV shows, and video games, you can support my channel, Red Devilos Reviews, for more of that content. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.